Da-da-da. Da-da-da. Okay, your pacing is too fast now.
Pacing?
No,
What does that even mean?
It's da-da.
What, in chorus?
No, it's da-da-da, ba, ba, da-da-da. And you're doing more of a da-da-da, ba, 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 da-da-da. It's off.
Well, you see, I always play ahead of the beat. That's how I roll.
Welcome back. It's a Monday morning. You're hanging out in the break room. Rochester's Classic Rock, 96.5, WCMF. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, buddy.
What's going on, female buddy?
Doing good, buddy.
63 degrees right now. Going to get up into the high 70s. Cloudy rain coming around 2 o'clock. It looks like we are under a flood watch.
Flood watch? What about your smoke?
It's a floody smoke.
Smoke?
What are you doing?
Just making
Wet
voices.
smoke is smoke?
All right.
You want to play the music that Jenna does again? We'll try and start over. Yeah, according to my iPhone.
Smoke.
Portions of Allegheny, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, Livingston, Monroe, Ontario, Southern Erie, Wayne, and Wyoming County are under a flash flood watch from 2 o'clock this afternoon through late tonight.
Wow.
So put on your high waters.
Yeah.
Batten down the hatches.
Mm-hmm.
Keep all small dogs up high land.
All right.
And be careful today from your friends here in the break room on CMF. So, we all come in after the weekend and recap how our weekends went, personal stuff in the room, laugh and laugh. And it seems, Kimmy, recently it's just recapping the food we ate over the weekend.
Yeah, well, because you have your cheat day Sunday,
Yep,
so we get a full, because you'll go out and try something new.
I went to Red's and Lugia's yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, it was a West Side tour, my friend. It was great.
That's a lot of Italian.
But Kimmy and her husband got after it, too.
We did.
Oh, yeah.
We did. So my husband had the idea. He's been talking about barbecue for like a couple weeks now. Okay. And
As most men do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm not. Why is that surprising?
Well, I think he's just been craving it, but we haven't pulled the trigger on barbecue. But yesterday we're like, we're gonna do it. Let's load up on some barbecue.
She wakes up. Guess what, honey? Today's the day.
Let's stain a shirt.
And not in a fun way.
So go-to for us, dinosaur barbecue.
Oh, that's number one.
And we're looking at the menu online because we're going to do takeout. And he's kind of doing the math in his head, like, how can I get the most bang for my buck? And he finds this platter that you can order, and it's supposed to feed like 4 to 6 people.
So this is like a catering thing.
Yeah. Like he can't decide what he wants. He's like, well, we get like a little bit of everything with this. We'll be good. And like, I'm like, but I'm not going to eat that much. Like, I just want to.
I'm not eating a pan of barbecue.
Which, by the way, lie.
Well, no, like
I've seen you eat at a Chinese buffet. You could eat a pan of barbecue.
I don't know. I wasn't super hungry.
All right.
But I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Like, you can always have leftover barbecue.
Sure.
Nobody's going to turn their nose up at that. So I'm also thinking, too, whenever they say it feeds 4 to 6 people, I'm like, it probably, knowing my husband, isn't always enough for 4 to 6.
Yeah, because you married 4 to 6 people.
Yes.
Yeah, she's in a throuple and it's just her and her husband.
So I'm doing the math. He's doing the math, thinking like, well, if we order our own separate meals, it's almost the same cost. It's not, but it's fine.
So you're going to go bulk pan?
We're going bulk pan of barbecue. He goes to pick up the food, and he comes home with this giant bag of stuff. And as he's like taking, it's like a Mary Poppins bag. Like it never ends as he's taking stuff out. I'm like, wow, this looks like a lot of food. It takes up the whole table. We get all the sides. And I mean, we barely put a dent in it. And as he was taking it out for the first time in our relationship, I saw him overwhelmed with the amount of food that he ordered.
Like, was it a face of worry? What did the face look like?
Well, it was kind of like, wow, this is more like it was a face of, I'm not going to be able to tackle this.
Okay.
So how many people do you think you could have fed with what you had laying on that table? 10?
Probably not 10, but definitely at least 4.
All right.
That was
4
definitely
hungry-ass people.
It said 4 to 6 and you guessed 10?
Yeah.
Well, because they got multiple sides and stuff. It wasn't just a tin of barbecue. She had a table
like a full rack
full
of ribs
of
in there.
Barbecue.
Yeah.
Table of barbecue.
So did you get ribs and pulled pork?
It came with ribs, brisket,
Damn.
chicken.
Oh, yeah.
We had 3 meats?
I think so, yeah.
Why is that?
I feel like I'm forgetting something.
That's standard.
3 meats?
It's barbecue, bro.
Yeah.
No, but not at once.
Yeah, there are plenty of plates they sell where you can get all 3 meats.
Yeah, but that's like on one little plate. You don't get like pans of it.
You get like a whole pan of cornbread.
A pan of cornbread.
Some men eat pans of meat. Other men's are pansies. You choose your route, my friend. Did you get seafood? Was there shrimp or something like that?
No shrimp.
Okay,
I'm sure we could have added on, but, that was plenty.
Okay.
He's just going straight meat.
Yeah, I get it, man. Look, here's the thing. Couple of things. The phone number is 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Like when Kimmy told us this story initially this morning, like the shock on her face while she was telling the story that she had finally seen her husband order enough food to be alarmed.
He overwhelmed himself.
Yes.
Because how long? You've known your husband since high school.
Yeah, I mean,
those are the eating years.
We've been together.
That's a growing boy. No, I'm during them eating years.
One of the worst ABC sitcoms of all time, the eating years.
Been together for 10. Never have I. Honestly, I can only think of a handful of times that he actually had leftovers.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
It had to look like Battleship Row with all those pans laid out. Right?
But here's the thing. I get it. And I'm surprised the face was of alarm instead of joy, because I don't know if I'm the only man that does this.
What's that?
If we order too much food, which happens a lot, my way, I don't know, just looking at all of the food I know I won't be able to finish makes me happy.
Okay, like you're going to be satisfied.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think he was happy. It was a mixture of both.
Because now you got some leftovers.
Happy leftovers, but
you got
also
a bullpen of pork.
Yeah, pork pen.
Yeah.
No, but I think it goes past the satisfied thing. I think that there is this weird caveman hunter-gatherer feeling of like, this is far more than we need, which, for modern times is the most effed up thing. I don't need this, but I'll take all of it. But like when it accidentally happens, it's just like, look what I have done. Look what I have brought home for you. Far too much chicken, pork, and ribs for any of us to consume.
Look at that pan of bread.
So how long are you going to be eating this stuff for?
I mean, I'm sure the leftovers won't last that long.
Wait, so if he eats it in 2 days, it's not that
2
much
days
food.
max.
Okay. So
but it was.
That's still a lot to eat.
But he'll still. So he'll just like eat it cold out of the fridge over time.
Oh, I could do that.
It's not like he's gonna sit down and make meals out of it. Like this is something that's gonna go fast.
You just gotta nosh through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you use nosh as in like a name, like that's what it sounds like when you're eating, or nosh is in the proper term of like meal?
The Hebrew name for picking at food.
Okay.
Which I think is probably wrong because we're talking pork. I understand the religious ramifications of my statement. Please don't report me to anybody.
Back to WCMF. For the first time in her relationship, Kimmy witnessed her husband order too much food.
Yeah.
Too much barbecue.
And it's jarred. Yeah, that's
heavy food.
Yeah, you're right. It's the heavy of heavy.
Yeah.
Well, here's what sucks for your husband, and I think that all men that live with only women understand this.
What's that?
Last night we went to Red's out there in Greece. It's one of my favorite restaurants in town. And I get my veal parm so nobody else touches it because no one else in my family eat it.
Yeah.
It's great when you find a food that no one will take, because I don't know about your wife, but my wife,
she won't steal it off your plate.
My wife has decided, Kimmy, even though it bothers the hell out of me that what's mine is hers.
Yeah, I will strategically order to keep my wife away.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get mine, and the girls, one of my daughters got their, the cheesy shell thingies. I forget what they call it.
Oh, stuffed shells.
No. It was a little shells.
Okay.
It's a special dish they do there. It's very good. My other daughter got like this rigatoni with eggplant and pork thing.
Nice.
Really, really good. But, it's an Italian restaurant. So here comes the bread.
Yeah.
And you got to get the fried calamar.
Right.
And then
stuff to fill up on.
Yep. Salad, soup. So by the time the food comes, my daughters each take like 2 bites, and then that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it sucks being me because I have to be aware of, like, where to take the kids, because if it's too much food, then, like, we're wasting all this money. And the girls, they would never share an entree. God forbid they split something.
Plus, you only have a 1-day window to play cleanup dead.
Well,
I was just going to say, are they do they eat leftovers? Do they like leftovers?
Yeah,
or are you stuck with the leftovers?
Right.
if it's food they like, they'll eat the leftovers, right? But, like, okay, would it be classless to split an entree
With your kids?
or have the kids split it, or have you split it with your husband? Is that classless to sit down at a restaurant and do that?
It looks
I've
chintz.
never been able to do that with anybody I've ever lived with, like family-wise.
Everybody eats too much.
Yeah.
Or they want their own plate of food.
Okay. Because, like, bro.
Like, I could probably do that with my mom, maybe. Like, if we went out to lunch or something, maybe we'd split something. But
But you're
Not my
talking an
husband.
entree, not like an appetizer.
No, I'm talking an entree. Because there are some places in town where the portion sizes are just massive.
Yeah.
Massive.
But they also, don't they whack you on the split?
I don't.
Like if you tell you want them to split it?
Oh.
I don't know. I always thought that was like the fanciest of
I
restaurants.
don't know.
Of course, you would have the
shareables.
They whack you on the split, he says. You can't say cool things at fancy restaurants. No, I whacked on the split. Whacked on the split sounds like a restaurant they just opened in the city.
Whacked on the split.
Yeah, he's owned 3 fancy restaurants before. Welcome to Whacked on the Split. You say that even if you're not going to eat 2 entrees separately, splitting it is chintz?
It just looks like you're cheap.
And are you worried as a parent if you and your wife get your own entree and you make your kids split an entree? You're going to feel like your dad.
Well, but I'm not doing it to be cheap. I'm doing it so we're not wasting food.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand. But
We're
like
going to get our own meals, but our daughters must split one.
children.
They're going to be full, and they both like just cheese and pasta.
Yeah, who
right?
doesn't?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that? No?
But they'll take it home and eat it.
Yeah, eventually. But why? I don't want to.
I don't want to spend that money.
No, it's not even about the money.
I can make my own pasta at home for $3.
I can feed a family of 4 on one entree. No, because as funny as it is for you to talk about all of the food that your husband found, we had all of these leftovers yesterday that my wife and daughters are going to pick at over the next couple of days, and that's actually going to affect meals down the road because girls also do this thing.
What is that?
Where, and I don't know if your wife does this, they're going to pick throughout the day, which is going to throw off all mealtime.
Yes.
Which bothers the hell out of me.
Also throws up meal schedules.
Thank you.
Everything, yes.
Thank you. Right? Because I was going to make this, but I mentioned this, and I'm only going to make this, but now I used half the ingredients I was going to use to make this, so now everything's all messed up. I don't like that.
Yeah, you don't recover till Thursday.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's a domino effect of meal planning.
I know you're making a joke, but it's
No,
100%
I'm serious,
true.
man.
It's very frustrating. So all of that can be solved by splitting an entree.
Okay, all right. Chintz out.
And water's for everybody.
No, I let my girls get Shirley Temples yesterday, despite the sugar situation. Things is pure sugar, man.
This is still a thing with kids.
So they become more popular? They've looped around back?
Okay.
Because
I
that
didn't
was
know they went away.
That was like my generation.
I remember getting Shirley Temples at all of my T-ball banquets.
Yeah, they had another thing called a horse's neck, which is basically the same drink.
I don't know.
It only took one kid to order. It'd be like, I'll have one of those too.
Yep,
Thank you.
Yep. By the way, I've never heard that referred to as a horse's neck. And when adults, when you were a kid, asked if you wanted a horse's neck, you probably should have said no. Oh, man, I get so many horse's necks here at the boarding school that I live at.
Basically, it's a kiddie cocktail.
Okay. What goes in the horse's neck?
It's the same drink, basically. I think one was for boys, one was for girls.
Kimmy,
so a little boy didn't want to drink a Shirley Temple, so you called it a horse's neck.
Could we have picked a more inappropriate name?
No, I guess
Okay.
not.
Give a child?
A horse's neck was originally a non-alcoholic mixture of ginger ale, ice, and a lemon peel.
Yeah.
It's just ginger ale.
And then usually they put grenadine in it sometimes, just to make it,
Yeah.
Gotcha.
You can throw grenadine into anything, a kid's going to drink it.
Okay, I'm going to order a horse's neck and see if the bartender knows what I'm talking about next time I go out.
Okay. Probably not.
And I really hope he doesn't unzip his fly first. We got a dynamite, too much food or not enough food. Got a breakup for you this morning here on CMF. Just after 7 o'clock, it's one of the most common arguments we have here in the break.
What's that?
Well, I am of the belief that if you have a powerful job that deals with enforcing, creating the laws, sentencing for laws, that you should be held to a higher standard when you break something.
Sure, absolutely.
You, on the other hand, disagree with me.
Well, I mean, I am tolerant of people.
No, you're not.
Very tolerant. I'm a tolerant man.
There is a former police chief from our area that was sentenced over the week.
Yeah. Well,
did you see the story?
I don't think so.
Okay. And folks in this area seem to be upset with the sentence he was handed down. Now, we'll detail what he pleaded. Thank you. Guilty to.
Yeah.
Not only does it involve the police department, it involves the school in town.
Oh.
And how, maybe, just maybe, even if you or I or anyone else without a powerful job would have gotten no jail time, he deserves it.
Oh.
At least in my humble opinion. And we'll get to it all just after 7 o'clock here in the break room on CMF, plus a whole bunch more. But first, Tommy.
Yeah, what's going on?
It's actually a really sad story to start the day because this is a guy who, despite the fact he was a big old celebrity here in town for a very long time.
Yeah.
He was a guy that a ton of people knew.
Oh, yeah.
Very friendly, out,
Great guy.
And we lost him over the weekend. And in this story, as sad as it is to talk about, what he meant to this town and the kind of human being he was to the folks that he knew, it's also an illustration of how different things are when it comes to local sports heroes today compared to how it used to be.
Okay.
And we'll get to it next here in the break room on CMF. It's a sad story.
What happened?
But it's also a reminder of what sports was in Rochester for a very long time. Because, as much as running into Josh Allen would be an unbelievable experience today, there was a time.
There was a time.
Thank you. Where guys that played here in Rochester had that same effect on people.
Yeah.
And it seems it's gone and it's never coming back.
Yeah, probably so.
You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5, WCMF, just after 6:45. There are places people will go to get their news. And there have been studies over the years that show that fewer and fewer people are going to actual news sources to get their news, which is alarming.
Right.
But this study might be the most alarming of all.
Oh.
Because it's one thing to go down a rabbit hole on social media, right? But it's another to get the majority of your news from here.
Straight up from this source.
And we'll tell you what it is just after 6:45 here in the break room on CMF. Friday morning, just after we got off the air, we found out that Rochester Americans legend Scotty Metcalf had passed away.
Yeah, I was shocked.
He was 58 years old. He was a member of the Calder Cup winning team. That's the last time the Amerks brought it home.
96.
Yep, you got it. And he was a guy, he had 2 stints with the Amerks, went and played over in Europe for a little while in between. If you knew Scotty Metcalf, which a lot of people in this town did, he was just a nice guy.
Yeah, he was not what you expect from a guy that played like that.
Well, because you knew him way better than I did.
He used to come on the show every Friday when they were in town playing, and he'd have a shiner. His knuckles looked like they were in a grinder, but he was so well-traveled, well-read, kind of soft-spoken. Not what you expected from a guy that earned his living that way.
He was a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
Very smart.
Well-traveled. Like you said, he was in Europe. He would talk about traveling around Germany and the sights he saw. And he also liked to party. So he was you would see him out at the bars, and you'd see him out on the town.
Yeah. I mean,
he was a regular guy.
Just engaging, funny, you know. It was one of those stories on Friday where if you grew up in this town when you saw it, it hit you really hard.
Yeah.
And with that being said, Scotty was one of the last local sports legends.
Yeah.
Because right now, sports is dominated by the 4 majors, NHL, Major League Baseball, NFL, and NBA. But back in the day, in Rochester, there were folks who never made it to the show that had just as much name recognition as the athletes that you watched on TV. Everybody knew Scotty Metcalf, Jody Gage, Craig Sharon, Chris Taylor. I mean, they weren't born here, but they made their homes here.
Yeah, they moved here.
They stayed here. Yeah. Yes, they found jobs here. Scotty Metcalf is not from Rochester. He had his time with the Amerks, and he stayed.
Yeah.
Raised a family here. And here's the thing. It wasn't just the Amerks. The Red Wings had guys like Joe Altobelli, Luke Easter, manager Marv Foley, names that you're right. They were guys that you walked out. You were excited to see them in Wegmans. Even the Rochester Raging Rhinos, when we were hit with soccer fever in the late 90s. Doug Miller was one of those guys.
So Doug Miller, didn't he have his own summer camps and all that stuff that he ran? And
he's been a soccer name in this town for 30 years. Remember Lennon Steenkamp?
Oh my God, how do I know that name?
He played for the Rhinos, but I will never forget the name
Steenkamp.
Lennon Steenkamp, because he was named Lennon Steenkamp. But the point I'm getting at here is these were guys that kids waited for autographs from, not because they thought that they were going to be big stars one day, but because they mattered to people who love sports in this town. Tommy, you remember the insanity that was Rochester when the Amerks won that Calder Cup in 96.
Yeah, so they won the Calder Cup, and then Marv Foley and Red Wings won the same year.
Governor's Cup, 96.
Yeah, so it was the same year they both won, and that hasn't happened since.
No, but I don't think either of them have won a championship.
Right, so I'm saying that hasn't happened since.
But that Calder Cup, when it came back to Rochester.
Oh, God, it was so funny. Because our producer, Rich the Bull Gensler, was a big hockey nerd, and he just followed those dudes around. And every night he was out, and they were partying with that cup, and he was drinking out of that cup every night for a week, and then he was out with strep. He's such an idiot.
What a coincidence.
He was just because he was he's a big sports kid, so he worshipped these guys,
But we all did, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, if you are under the age of 30 years old, whatever time period you grew up in, there were guys for the Amerks and the Red Wings that you just idolized.
Yeah.
And they weren't.
And they drew a crowd.
Exactly, yes. You were getting 10,000 a night at Silver Stadium, or that became Frontier, now Innovative Field, the Blue Cross Arena. It was such an awesome time to be a kid and a sports fan. And, that carried in through your adulthood. And, what sucks now, Again, 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Amerks legend Scotty Metcalf passes away. We found out about it just after we got off the air on Friday, 58 years old, but just a legend in this town, a legend. Like, minor league sports are different now. Like, they exist in hockey and baseball just to get the guys to the big leagues.
Right.
Rarely do these major league franchises care about their minor league teams winning. If it happens, great. If not, whatever.
Yeah, it's just a system.
Exactly, right? And that's just a sign of the business of sports.
Yeah.
But, like, losing Metter and, past the sadness of the folks in the greater Rochester area, it's a reminder of how you didn't have to be a diehard fan to know who Jody Gage or Scotty Metcalf or Marv Foley or Doug Miller was.
Yeah, they were local names.
Exactly. I never went to a Rhinos game in my life.
Yeah.
I know Doug Miller.
Yeah.
Really?
I know Lennon. I've never been to a Rhinos game.
Never?
Not once. Is that surprising?
It is. I thought everybody that grew up here had at least gone once or twice.
Yeah, because it was pretty amazing. Because they drew I want to say the number 13,000 fans would show for those games on
I
a
remember
Friday
going
or
so
Saturday
much
night.
as a kid.
I mean,
It was almost like you were in Europe.
I mean, I had two things. I never played soccer.
Me neither.
And I think my dad was one of those guys that was anti-soccer.
Oh, he was
okay.
a white middle-aged man.
Well, no, there was one thing that they had a lot of in that stadium. Is white middle-aged men. No, my dad was, we play football, America.
Yeah, true.
Football's America. I'm not no goddamn communist playing soccer with my feet. Communists use their feet. And by the way, like, that reverence you had for those local sports guys when you were a kid, you still felt as an adult, for example. Scotty Metcalf kept playing beer league hockey.
Yeah.
Right? And if you play beer league hockey, odds are you have played against him over the last, 10 years. And I got to be honest with you, and this is so dorky. Being a kid when he was in his glory days with the Amerks, like, whenever I was on a team that played against Scotty Metcalf, I would be like, ooh, we're playing against Scotty Metcalf. Butterflies is the wrong word, but it was a little more juicy. Like, ooh, yeah, it's Scotty over.
Well, yeah.
And, by the way, the guy could still play.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was out of shape, suck and win. The hands never go away.
Yeah.
And if he wanted to, he could embarrass the hell out of you. But he was kind about it, which made him even more of a good dude.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was just every once in a while, I'll see Jody Gage walking around. And, just doing this job.
Mm-hmm.
We know Jody, and he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
And, we'll have a conversation with him. But I'm still like, oh, it's Jody Gage. Oh, my God. Hey, guys, check it out. It's Jody Gage.
Yeah. It's impressive.
I remember being a kid, and I know this happened to you, Kimmy, where, these Red Wings or the Amerks or the Rhinos would come to your school and,
oh, yeah. I
talk.
went to their camps and stuff as a kid.
And, that day they were coming into school, right? People would bring stuff in to get autographed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was my point. I guess they drew a crowd.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you would see that anymore.
Yeah.
On a local, minor league guy.
I mean, other than I know there is a section of, diehard Amerks fans that exist, right? I'm not saying that those diehards aren't still there, right? But, unless you follow the Sabres deeply and you know who's supposed to be the next guy, not many people know who those guys are.
So one night we had an open mic competition for comedy at this place called the Captain's Attic on the West Side back in the day. Mm-hmm. So we had judges. So we had Metcalf, we had Marv Foley, Wheeze, and I forget who else. Oh, the speed skater, Kathy Turner. So people were coming in. It was sold out. There was a $1,000 cash prize, open mic. Come up and do your best, right? So they're there to judge it, right? Nobody's listening to the comics. They're all talking to the judges. So people were bringing stuff in for Marv to sign, from it, because this is after they won their championship.
Yeah.
They were just there to see these guys. They could care less about the open mic, but because they were all there, we drew a crowd of just sports fans. But you'd never see that.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Let's talk to Barber. Hey, Barber, how are you, buddy?
Morning, guys. Well, there was a time. That's right. When we had really good local sports writers, especially for the paper, Kevin Klubja, Bob Matthews, Petoniak, all these guys, and they could do, write-ups on these players so that you would know who they were. Plus, it was way better coverage. Today, you look, and there's not even the standings in the International League. You have no idea how bad the Red Wings are. There's no coverage of the
Red Wings are actually on a heater right now, with all due respect to the Red Wings.
But, it's just there's no – the local newspaper absolutely stinks. You wouldn't even want to wrap a –
I know. I go down and I wait for it every day. Nothing.
All right. Just to give a heads up to the old school fans, Barber, that still want to read about that stuff, there is a website called pickinsplinters.com. Pickin' Splinters.
All right.
Kevin O'Klubja, who's another one of my favorite people, he writes for that site. All the local high school, sports, minor league, major, all that stuff is there. In fact, I'm looking at a story done by Kevo Amerks teammate remembers Scotty Metcalf, the ultimate competitor.
Yeah, he did a real nice write-up for Stitch over the weekend. So and the thing is, you look, and it just the coverage just isn't what it used to be anymore. I mean, and plus you're looking at sports scores. Today's Monday. They're publishing Saturday scores. That's how bad the DNC has gotten.
Yeah, but I mean, like in the defense of the DNC,
but there was another way I could find out what's happening.
There's your problem, right? I mean, everything is on demand now. If somebody hits, like for example, there was that amazing finish to the French Open yesterday.
Yes.
Right. I'm not a big tennis person.
Yeah.
Okay. But the second it ended, all of my social media exploded because it was like the super unique thing that happened.
It's almost like if you don't catch it right after it happens, you kind of miss it because we move on so fast.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Get a phone, Barbara, is what we're trying to tell you.
Well, hoist a beer to Metter because he is one of the true last local legend heroes that kids could look up to.
Amen, Barber. Amen. Thanks for the call, buddy. Have a good rest of the day. There goes Barber. Why aren't things the way you? I guess
Where's our newspaper?
I can't make fun of him. I'm asking the same question.
I'm getting the Thursday night's results. they play the West Coast. You don't find out next week.
I almost feel like now if you were taking your kid to meet like one of the local players on any team, you're taking them to see somebody who you hope makes it to the next level.
Yes, that's it.
You know
You're
what
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're hoping you meet somebody before they actually make it big.
No, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're right. All right, so I haven't heard anything if they're going to do a public memorial in any way. I'm sure if they did, it would be well attended by diehard Amerks fans.
Well, it won't be in the paper.
Well,
No coverage.
again, if you are someone looking for what Barber misses, go to pickinsplinters.com. They got everything you need. It's
Good tip.
really great. All right, let's take a break.
Yeah.
Well, this is perfect transition.
What's that?
Because it comes down to where you get your news from. Used to be everyone got their news in the newspaper. And then television took over, and people started getting their news from television news. And then social media showed up, and people started using social media in that way. And things started to get a little crazy.
Oh.
Right? But this new study might be the most alarming of all.
Oh.
Because social media is not a great place to get all of your information.
No.
But it still may be better than this.
That bad.
I'll tell you next here in the break room. Let's see you this is a problem, Tommy.
What happened?
We know that you can get the same news story 2 different ways based on where you see it.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that the overwhelming majority of Americans just read headlines, which is problematic. But it turns out this is much, much worse than we thought.
Uh-oh.
Because most of Americans, it turns out now, get their news from this place.
This source.
Yep. You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock, 96.5. WCMF, the time has come. The dads have been entered.
Oh, we're done.
Yes. Well, no, we're not done.
We're done.
We've only just begun,
right.
Thomas. We have over 60 dads
God damn.
at WCMF.com where you can go right now and vote for which one you think is the sexiest. We have... When's the voting done? Do we know?
I think
We will let you know. But right now, you can go to
But you can vote right now.
Yes, WCMF.com. You can vote for which dad is the sexiest of the 16 pages of sexy dads.
16 pages of daddies.
Yeah, we were hit with an influx of a lot of shirtless men.
All right.
Late Friday, as everything was wrapping up. We must, Kimmy, have set a record for the amount of shirtless dads in one year.
Yeah, I think some dads heard us talking about the other shirtless dads and said, "Wait a second, I see your shirtless dad, and I raise you a shirtless dad."
All right.
By the way, you remember Armand, who does Where They Want?
Yeah.
He calls all the time. He's in a tuxedo.
He's in a tux?
He is in a tuxedo.
I don't think I've ever seen Armand.
I met him at the St. Patrick's Day parade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doesn't look like a guy you normally see in a tuxedo.
I have him as a thin guy.
So you can go to WCMF.com right now. Vote for your sexiest dad. That guy, I got a guy here. I'm sorry. Before we get into this story. His name is Matthew. He is in a camouflage shirt with a tie and shorts.
Wait, like a camouflage
dress
shirt with a collar and a tie.
Yeah, with a tie and like hoochie daddy shorts.
Is the tie also camouflage?
No, it's more of a brown color.
All right, so it kind of blends in though.
Buckskin.
Oh, okay.
I would guess. All right, so go see for yourself. WCMF.com. Vote for your sexiest dad today. Tommy?
You know what?
I have a study in front of me. And the study is where the majority of Americans say they get most of their news from.
Okay.
All right, Tommy, would you like to take a shot where the majority of Americans get most of their news
Well, I'm going to say now is probably like Instagram or Twitter.
Okay, so social media?
Yeah.
All right, that's a good guess. You're wrong.
Oh.
Kimmy, would you like to take a shot?
I was going to say social media, too. So.
Okay,
what's left?
That's a stupid pick because you already know that's wrong. Okay. Yeah. It turns out that today, 73% of Americans say they get their news from friends, family, and neighbors.
So just conversation.
Yep.
They don't even look at anything.
Like,
no.
You get did you hear about fill in the blank?
Yes. Okay, so let me take that back. It's where you get most of your news from. 73% of Americans said they get most of their news from friends, family, and neighbors. That was the greatest response in this poll. News stations, either TV or online, came in at 64%. Radio came in at 52%.
Okay.
And it turns out online forums like Facebook groups they're slightly down at 52%. And I don't know if that's an effect
But I always figure that's where the neighbor hears it from.
Yeah.
Which you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Okay. With 73% of Americans saying they get most of their news from friends, family, and neighbors.
Second and third hand.
You got it. There is no way in which this is a good situation.
Well, you're getting a really unfiltered, straightforward, the truth.
Even when they're telling you the story, sometimes you're like, that doesn't sound right. I don't know. I'm going to have to check on that.
Okay, but like first off, to Kimmy's point, you trust your family and friends and neighbors to give you good enough information over the news.
Yes.
Right? And to Kimmy's point a second ago, where are they getting this information from? It's just the news, but they're saying it wrong.
Right.
Right?
But I think about so my wife doesn't really watch the news.
Okay.
She watches entertainment stuff. So if she'll ask me a question, I'll just tell her whatever I've heard that I've watched. You probably do the same thing with your wife because your wife doesn't have time to watch the news.
You're right.
So both of our wives they'll ask you a question and you'll give them the answer.
But that's not good,
No.
especially from us.
Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Like, when I'm having a conversation with my wife, it's not like here where we are vetting and checking.
No.
I don't want to get sued and I feel a
Right.
responsibility. I'm just talking to my wife.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, but look at Kimmy's husband. He works all day, overnights. He probably doesn't watch a bunch of news.
He is the news, man.
Yeah.
The beefy news.
I always look for his truck.
What are you, 12?
I do.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He is 12.
Okay. Yeah.
But-
No,
but-
I mean, I guess it's a little different because to Pat's point, like you're kind of like the first to see some of that.
No, but he's not
happening.
sitting down watching like an hour of the nightly news or taking it in.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't know. My dad was a cop, and he would always watch the news to see if he made
They're
it on
pretty
the
in
news.
tune.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, they're pretty in tune to what's going on. I don't know.
252 WCMF, 252-9263. Even more alarming
What's that?
than 73% of Americans saying now they get
Word of mouth. That's basically what it is.
Yes, most of their news word of mouth from their friends, families, and neighbors. They narrowed down what types of news you are most likely to get from your friends, family, and neighbors. The most likely, political, yikes.
Okay.
Second, crime.
Oh.
And that last one explains a lot about the last couple of years. People convinced that crime is up when, in fact, it is not.
Okay.
Right? But getting past the actual numbers we have in front of us here, 252 WCMF, 252-9263. How many people have a friend that they trust so much, if they were to tell you a news story, you'd take it at face value?
No one.
You don't have anybody in your life?
I can't think of it.
You're not going to Google it?
Well, you. Like if you told me something.
Okay, so that's not good.
Right. Yeah, you would be it.
Okay, again.
But because we do this for a living, though. So I know, like, we both watch a lot of news.
Uh-huh.
But you're the only person in my life, like me, that takes in a lot of news.
Okay.
Nobody else in my circle of people pays attention to the news like we do because of our gig.
Okay, you see what you're doing, though, right? Like, you're laughing at everybody
What'd
else.
you hear?
You're laughing at everybody else about this. But you go, me, though. Me, I do this, but like, the way I do it.
Guys.
It's
guys,
a good...
Guys.
The way I do it is smart. Where everyone else does it, dumb. Super dumb. Kimmy?
Yeah.
Do you have a friend or a family member that you trust so much that if they shared a news story with you, you would not look up anything more about it, you would take their word for it?
I can only think of one, but I know that this is somebody that really like is just very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like
In
constant,
tune?
yeah, like
Okay.
constantly looking things up, double checking things. Like doesn't just take like one word stories and run with it. Like she's actually very interested in what's going on and why things are happening.
Okay, so again, when everyone else does it, stupid. But when Kimmy do it, but when I
But
do
that's-
it, I
but-
check my sources from
Well,
my
I'm not saying me.
So I did notice
No, I'm
something.
saying when you get your news from
Oh
somebody.
no, but I'm saying like that's the only person I can think of where I wouldn't like double check some things after they tell me.
But like, so I was at a Christmas party with family, and I noticed that 3 people there were really into podcasts.
Okay.
So they were sharing stories that they heard on podcasts from people that weren't listening to those podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that, again, was
Being the
they're listening to
telephone.
a podcast, taking it in, and then spitting it out their way to other people.
You know where I'm really surprised? Did coworkers show up on there?
I
Because
mean, it was all in there.
Well,
Friends,
yeah.
I'm
family,
thinking
coworkers.
like, you know,
Yeah, work.
they're the first purple.
They're the first
people-
purple people.
They're the first people you usually talk to in the morning, and sometimes if you miss something overnight, well, that your coworker's gonna be the first.
Yeah,
to
that's
tell
always
you
been
about
the
it.
way.
Okay, but I don't have a coworker here, again, maybe other than you, and even you, look, I love you, but I'm Googling it. Like, where they could be like, if the story sounded off, I'd be like, that can't be true. There's no way.
Gail Sayers was in Roots.
Yeah, see what I get when I believe you, you dumbass? 252 WCMF. 73% of Americans now say they get the majority of their news from friends, family, and neighbors. And of the news they get, they are most likely to get political news from those people and crime news. Here's the thing, man. Like, as we talk about, like, that person you have in your life who you trust, look, forget the ethical part of this, right? Where if you're going to be up on the news, you should, like, get the actual news.
Right.
Aren't you afraid of repeating what someone else told you and looking like an idiot to the next person?
Doesn't seem to be a problem.
No, but I mean, no, it's a problem.
Doesn't seem to bother them.
Okay.
I guess, right?
Why?
Because nobody's going to call you on it.
No, there are plenty of people that'll call you on
Doesn't
it.
seem like it. It's not stopping anything.
Okay.
Seems like nobody's really calling you. I don't want you to call me because I don't want you know. I mean, it's like a mutual firing squad.
Because, like, there's one story that sticks out in my head because it was so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Like, the second we saw it, we knew it was wrong. And this showed up in every city in America.
What's that?
That there, at one point, was a local school district in every town that had put litter boxes in the bathrooms because kids that dressed up like furry animals, identified as animals, would only go in the litter box.
And did you see what it was costing these districts? Just in litter.
So, like, that was a story that became so prominent. Was not true. Was never true. Never happened. That not only did it circulate on Facebook, there were multiple guys who had microphones on the radio who reported that story as fact. And everybody that talked about that story looked like an idiot.
Yes.
Because, of course it wasn't true. But, like, you're not embarrassed about looking?
It doesn't seem like, I mean, my brothers spew stuff that doesn't seem bother them at all.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes usually I try not to laugh.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can't help myself.
Okay.
And he'll just stick to the story anyway. It doesn't even bother him.
So you're so dyed in your convictions.
Oh, yeah.
But the conviction's not even your convictions. It's just a story you heard
I don't forget my brother's 78 years old, so he's pretty much, those grooves are worn deep.
Okay. You know, the other strange part about this?
What's that?
I thought we didn't talk to each other anymore.
Apparently we do. Maybe we're a little bit more social than we realize.
Well, no, all I hear all the time is how buried in our phones we are.
Well, you could be social on your phone. You could be texting each other back and forth, right? Or
yeah.
I could see what you've just updated on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, right?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I guess the funniest part about all of this
What's that?
is who we actually trust the most with the news we get. Because in this same study, it turns out that we don't see our friends and family as the most trustworthy. Despite the fact that 73% of Americans say that's where we get most of the news, we do not trust our family and friends. The most trustworthy news outlet, you want to guess?
Outlet.
Yes, for Americans, according to this study.
So it's got to be social media.
No, it's not. Kimmy, you want to take a shot?
Your nightly or your local nightly news.
You got it. Bang.
Okay.
Local news outlets.
Oh.
So number 1 was local news outlets.
Okay.
Number 2 was friends and family. Then came social media.
Wow.
The least trusted news source in America? Politicians.
Oh.
And that didn't change based on your political affiliation.
Both sides.
Only 7% of Americans in this study say the information they get from politicians is very accurate. People are 3 times more likely, according to this study, to believe the local news broadcast on TV over their local politicians.
Those clowns in Washington.
Which I guess is good.
Yeah.
But then why aren't we seeing that?
I don't know. It doesn't feel that way.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because every time I get on, again, for this job, we have to get on, 8, 13, 10, watch the news, check their websites, all this stuff. All I see on these Facebook stories are comments about how nobody trusts the local news.
Yeah.
But they're still going for the stories, and according to this thing, they trust people.
Okay.
Right?
They just don't trust the politicians.
Mm-hmm.
But you probably trust the one you like.
Yeah.
You hate
that's
politicians.
Probably what it is.
Because they always said, like, everybody hates Congress, but they love their congressman.
Great, yeah. You're right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's my guy. The rest of them are bums.
But here's the thing. Even a politician you like, do you take them at their word every time they speak?
I probably do subconsciously because you like the guy. And he's telling you what you want to hear. So, like, if you're on that guy's side and he's spewing what you want, he's handing you the candy, then I'm digging that guy.
Okay. Again, I think there's a difference between hearing what you want and believing what they're saying. Because I do think there are people who will hear a politician speak, know they're full of it, but like the message and just let it go.
Yeah, I bet you everybody's guilty of that to some degree.
Right?
Yeah, it's human nature.
All right, so then that means you don't trust that politician even though you like him, which is also a weird thing.
Yeah.
That you can like a politician that you don't fully trust.
I just trust this guy more, maybe.
Enough. I trust you enough.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess the moral of the story is,
Trust no one.
well, not anyone you know.
Question authority.
Unless you know the guy who does the news.
Don't trust anybody over 30.
I think that's actually fair.
Yeah.
That's a fair statement.
Yeah, 1972.
Or now. I don't trust me. Let's take a break.
All right.
We'll actually get you some news here.
Oh.
News cited by appropriate sources. Because there is a former big wig in a local police department that found out what his punishment is going to be for a crime that he pleaded guilty to.
Oh.
And we will recap this entire crime. And we're going to have a fight, Tommy and I specifically.
Why?
Because I am of the belief, personally, that when you have a big job like this and you screw up, you should be held accountable.
A higher standard?
Yes. In fact, more accountable than the average person would be. You, on the other hand.
Depends what happened here. Come on.
Tommy, 1%. Tommy, protect them all.
A guy being a little bit of a guy.
Just a guy being a little bit of a guy. Do you know this story?
No.
Oh, well, yeah, we're going to break it down for you, and we're going to find out if this was just a guy being a little bit of a guy. Next, here with the break room. I'll see you, Matt. If there was one thing we argue about the most, Tommy,
What's that?
it's people being held to a higher standard.
That's right.
Because you don't think any job should result in extra punishment if they get in trouble.
I mean, come on.
Oh, I didn't think about your come on. Oh, remember that Supreme Court case, the people versus come on? Well, we have that kind of story here. Because someone did something bad, and they aren't going to get the punishment folks think they deserve. And that has some people really pissed off.
All right.
You're hanging out in the break room. Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5. WCMF, just after 7:25, 7:30. Very few cars on the road right now are operating perfectly.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Little thing wrong here,
Sure.
little thing wrong there. And a mark of a man or a woman is how far you are willing to let your car be messed up and still drive. But it seems we may have a man that has pushed it. Well, he definitely pushed it too far.
Really?
Because he's in the news. But like,
is he now pushing it?
the car runs.
Yeah.
It's just he won't be able to drive it because he was arrested. We'll get to the story just after 7:30 here in the break room on CMF. Joseph Gear was the chief of police in Avon. Big-time job, Tom.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the only job that Chief Gear had.
Oh, what other job?
Well, he also worked as a school resource officer within the Avon School District.
So he did 2 gigs.
Yeah. Now, you're aware of what a school resource
So
officer
basically, it's a police officer. It's like a guard.
You got it. But the folks that work as school resource officers, at least in this case, were paid separately than their salary job as a police officer. In fact, he was paid hourly for that gig.
All right.
Now, here's the thing. Having the chief of police in a small town also working inside a school.
Man, what a coup.
It's a coup?
Well, good. It's a great thing.
Dream scenario.
Yeah.
All right.
Not a coup like it took.
Cool. Yeah, like the definition of the word. But see, that's where the problems begin.
Well, what's the matter?
Story says that the former police chief billed the district in Avon for hours that he did not work. In fact, he would have an on-duty subordinate police officer cover his shifts at the high school.
But then that guy got paid.
No, because he was on duty. So he was just doing his regular police job. And according to the story, he would then send this guy to the high school, and he'd be making money on his regular police job while he was billing the high school.
And not paying that dude?
No, the guy's getting paid because he's getting paid for doing his regular cop job. He's just driving around being a cop.
No, I'm saying he took a cop.
Yep.
And put him in as
the
a
school.
Saying it was, but he was getting paid.
He was getting paid while that
so
was happening.
So the dude he put in there.
Yes.
Did he get any money?
He was getting the money he would normally get for
just
just being
a
a cop.
Just being on duty.
All right.
But he was also charging them for his time.
All right. So you're just kind of delegating authority.
Yeah, while also getting paid to not be there.
Right.
In total,
how much?
He is accused of taking $6,866.84 from the district. And I would like to point out something else very important because I get that it's a little convoluted as you explain it. Phone number being 252-WCMF, 252-9263. The on-duty officer who was doing what the chief said, following orders in the school, was not on patrol in Avon, even though according to the story, they were supposed to be on patrol in Avon. Meaning that it sounds like he took a police officer off the road to do this.
Right.
And that officer was being paid by town taxes. So really, not only did this police chief take money from the school that he did not earn while being the chief of police, by taking this officer off the street, you could also argue he was taking taxpayer money away from the department as well.
Oh, straight up.
At the same time.
Yeah.
He was somehow doing this at the same time. Chief Greer pleaded guilty to theft of district funds, and he was sentenced late last week.
Okay.
He was looking at a potential 10 years in jail. You want to know what he got?
Well, 10 years seems like a lot.
I agree. 10 years, that was what he was looking at. What do you think he got?
I'm going to say 18 months.
18 months. Kimmy, you want to take a shot?
I want to say it was less than a year.
Okay, less than a year in jail. He got 2 years
Oh, okay.
probation.
Oh. So what does that mean? He can still be the...
No, he resigned from his job.
So he lost his
He has lost his job, but he will not serve a second behind bars.
So was he ordered to pay anything back?
That I don't have in the story. It's possible. It's possible it's already happened because you make a pretty good amount being the chief of police.
Yeah.
But he will not spend a second behind bars for stealing from a school district while working as the chief of police.
Yeah.
The phone number is 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Tommy, a nation turns its lonely eyes to you. You cool with this?
If you told me that he had to make restitution and just lose his gig, that sounds pretty even, Steven, to me.
Oh.
If he had to pay the money back, and you're out, so you lost your career,
and then you don't have to do jail time.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's hard for me that when there's no victim.
You mean like the kids who go to the school?
Oh, they didn't get the books. They lose the chalk.
It's $7,000.
I understand.
Almost. No, you don't.
I mean, I guess.
But no, if you pay restitution, you're getting your 7G back.
Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would be happy with you lost your gig, you pay him back.
Oh, okay. So then,
and you move on. But because don't forget, your career's ruined.
No, I hear you. Yeah, but based on the actions you yourself committed.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So
Bad guy.
All right, great. So if I go to a car dealership today, and I steal a car as Pat Duffy, unpopular radio personality, and I bring the car back after I get caught, I shouldn't face any punishment. That's the logic you're using here.
I don't think you should get. I mean, but you brought the car back.
After I got caught, I brought the. Okay, fine. You can have the car back. You caught me. I'm off. Right, scot free.
Well, no, you have to pay some fine. Restitution.
Restitution for what? The car's back. You got it back.
Wear and tear.
I lost my job, so now I go get another job. That seems fair.
And a penalty
to me. What's a penalty?
You can't be Pat Duffy, suck-ass radio person anymore.
That's impossible. I only know how to be Pat Duffy, suck-ass radio personality. Kimmy, are you cool with this chief of police not doing jail time?
I mean, I think a little jail time couldn't hurt.
What's
right?
a little? Couldn't hurt, she says, like it's like a Band-Aid.
I mean, a couple months maybe, like 30 days at least.
Okay.
I don't know. But I mean, the thing is, the school, though, I feel like the school was because they were paying for somebody to be there, and they got somebody. It wasn't the guy that they meant to pay, but they were. I guess I don't know how the school really lost money because they were going to pay somebody either way. It just wasn't who they thought.
But
there was no danger because you did have an officer there.
Understood. But the argument is not whether or not there was danger. The argument is whether this man was getting money for doing the job.
Scam.
He was
scam.
Yes, absolutely.
He was getting the money, but he was putting somebody in that spot. The school wasn't without a person in the
resource.
Okay. The phone number is 252-WCMF. 252-9263. Again, we're talking about Joseph Gear. He was the chief of police in Avon. He is no longer. He pleaded guilty to charges relating to $6,866.84 that he is accused of taking from the Avon School District when he was supposed to be working as the resource officer inside the district. He was not actually doing that, at least all the time. According to court documents, he was putting an on-duty police officer in the school instead of doing the job that he was supposed to be doing off hours. But while doing that, he was also billing the school like he was there, and that's where the money came from. Okay, so this is all BS, and I'll tell you why.
What is it?
I don't care if the average person would have gotten jail time in this case. Because when you have a job of this importance, significance, you should be held to a higher standard.
Okay.
This man was the law in Avon, New York.
Yeah.
That guy arrested plenty of people who never got a break and got punished to the full extent. Why does he deserve a break here?
Not so much a break, but he did a good job. I mean,
he did such a good job that he wasn't able to arrest himself for the law he was breaking. That seems like a case that could have cracked pretty quick there, Chief. I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
Folks like this should be held to a higher standard. Tommy? When a police officer, politician, judge, whatever.
We put a lot of trust in these people. We arm them.
When they are busted for a crime and found guilty, yes, it erodes public trust.
Yeah, it does taint the image.
Trust in the government and how that person, where they work, trust in the job that other people in other places do in their position. It's not just the $6,000 in change here. To ensure that the public can trust the people in power are doing the right thing, you have to do all you can to make sure they never break the law. And I would argue holding them to a higher punishment standard does that.
So you think a guy should have gotten serious jail time?
Give me 3 years.
All right, that's a lot.
I mean, look, you pleaded guilty to a crime here, right? I mean, don't you think hypocrisy should carry more weight when someone is sentenced?
Well, I wonder what other crimes you could commit where you would get like 3 to 5.
Like what it compares to.
Yeah, like if I went out and did something where I would get 3 to 5 years in prison.
Oh, you should get 3 to 5 for every noise you utter into this microphone. Stupid. What did you call me? Stupid, busted, lazy, ugly radio personality.
Yeah, let's go with that one.
Do we know the total? We don't have a total.
Yeah, I know. I said it like 5 times.
Oh. What was the total?
$6,866.84.
Oh.
Almost $7,000, Kimmy. And here's the thing. It's not even like giving this guy jail time would be an unjust punishment. In this case, he was facing 10 years, just like anyone else.
Oh, so there was a 10-year he could have seen.
He could have seen 10 years.
Yeah.
And I get that very rarely, unless it is an extremely violent crime, people see the maximum. I don't want to see the maximum here. I just want to
You want some pain.
I don't want pain.
Or a pound of flesh.
I don't want a pound of flesh. See, this is what you do. You change it like I'm on some like crusade to get after this specific
Bring
guy.
them up by their Buster Brown.
It has nothing.
Tan their hide.
Didn't we, a couple months ago, say we wanted to use Buster Browns more on the show?
Yes.
And we got away from it.
Yeah, we did.
And I apologize. We're going to try and loop back to Buster Browns again. No, man, it has nothing to do with this guy specifically. It has everything to do with you were entrusted to do a job.
You were.
You violated the public's trust. Therefore, you deserve more punishment.
All right, a little bit. You went a little extra.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Nothing?
Well, I mean.
Ah! Oh, wait, I didn't think you'd say,
I mean, as a known piece of crap.
yes.
I tend to side with pieces of crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you were never in charge of anything either.
Thank you.
Well, not for long. I had that meat department for about 6 hours.
No,
It's
that's-
more like a mini series.
But that's just it, right? Like, this is not, you cannot compare what this guy pleaded guilty to to you or me or Kimmy or anyone else listening that doesn't have a position of power. It was never our jobs to enforce a law.
Right.
It was never our job to arrest anybody or do an investigation or stand in front of people and say, this is the right thing you should do. Meanwhile, you're doing the wrong thing. I would make the same argument with everything happening out in Geneva with that police officer accused of selling prescription drugs while running the DARE program. No?
Forget.
By the way, there's another potential wrinkle to this story.
Wait, what else?
So is it? I may have been saying his name wrong. I think it might be Greer, not Gear. I might have written it down wrong. Anyway, the former Avon police chief, right, who is accused of taking almost $7,000 for work he did not do inside the Avon School District as a school resource officer. He resigned after his arrest, but he had 20 years on as a police officer before he did. Now, I don't know what the rules are now. When my old man was on the job, he was a cop. If you work 20 years, you got half pension or half pay.
So you're locked in.
Yes, full benefits for the rest of your life. Every year for the rest of your life, you get half of your salary and full benefits.
It's a hell of a deal.
Yeah. Should he get his retirement?
So that would be more painful than 3 years in jail. Like if you really wanted to make an impact, you take away their pension.
Now, I know there has been debate about changing this law.
You got to deal with the unions, man. Good luck. And let me tell you who runs that organization. It's not the Boy Scouts.
The police union. No, I don't know if that law has changed. I'll be straight up with you because there was talk about it.
So you could lose your pension.
Yes. He pleads guilty to a crime. I'm not sure if he can, but he pleaded guilty to a crime. He resigned from his job as the leader of a police department in shame, right? Should that guy get a taxpayer check for the rest of his life?
I mean, I would think.
Hey, you use a lot of words that don't go anywhere.
I would say.
I'm talking about I backed the blue. Look at my shirt. It's all blue.
I would say.
I even backed the blue that's off blue a little bit.
I don't know how you could legally do that because, I mean, he earned that pension. I mean, he signed and agreed and did that job. So I don't know how you could take it away from him.
No, but here's the thing. He didn't do the job, though, because there was a crime that he was aware was happening, which he didn't prosecute, which would be the crime he himself pleaded guilty to.
I would not be in favor of that, but I think somebody like you that really wants to hurt somebody, that would be the biggest
Oh, my God.
thing.
How dare you put it like that?
What? But no, because listen, man, you're saying higher standard, take his money away.
I am not trying to individually hurt someone.
No, but
I am trying to ensure the next person in that job
make an
understands,
Well,
yes.
that would be a higher authority. You lose all these things we've given you.
You think it's inappropriate?
Uh,
Because if it's earning, would you say he earned?
yeah, I think he earned.
As the chief of police?
Well, I mean,
taking $7,000?
okay, but that's one incident.
That we know of?
That we know of. I say he gets to keep his pension, but I think Union Bustin' Pat wants that guy liquidated.
One, You know I'm very pro-union. 2, liquidated. What are you talking about?
Take his money away.
No, well, no, it's not, you're not taking his money away. You are not giving him the money that he would have been entitled to had he been a law-abiding citizen while telling everyone else to be a law-abiding citizen.
I will say this. If you did that, I think it would cut out all this.
But who wants that? Thomas. I'm a man who likes a little corruption. Greases the wheels.
You gotta move things along a little bit. You gotta help a guy out a little bit.
I'm sorry, you had something.
No, I was gonna say I'm also trying to look at it through the eyes of an employee. Like if that was my boss, would I want to see them do more time? Because it's possible that like depending on how much you liked your boss or how much they potentially let you get away with or things like that, you may have a different perspective on wanting to see this guy do time.
Okay, but here's the thing.
Because I would also argue maybe you want to see him do time if you were covering for things that they were doing and not realizing that, they were cutting corners and it created more work for you along the way.
I mean, that's just it. I do think like the employee situation should be irrelevant because there are people we've worked for that were massive pieces of crap that we liked a lot. And if they asked us, we would argue in favor of them not being punished. Vice versa, there are people we worked for that we hated. Yeah. If they did the littlest thing wrong, we'd want them to get the chair.
Dry their ass.
I mean, I think it comes down to the people that paid this man's salary, which are the folks that live in Avon.
All right, so they should put it to them?
Well,
kind of?
I mean, I don't know. Would that would be really like medieval. A vote to decide if he gets his pension and how much jail time he has? Be entertaining. It's probably not the best way to do punishment.
Yeah. I don't see it going his way.
Well, it's all going to be based off of probably personal interactions with this guy, especially in a small place like Avon.
But everybody wants their money back.
I don't know, though, man, because you're not going to get the money back.
But in their mind.
Right.
I think most people, if you put it to a vote about his pension in that town, they're getting their money.
Oh, I think you're going to get a lot of people be like, oh, he helped me do this, this, and this, and he's a good guy.
I'm with Kimmy. I'm with
you're
Kimmy.
Get more of those stories.
You're painting an image that we don't know exists.
Well, I mean, we're talking small town. You're right. We're making a lot of assumptions.
But human nature, I want my money. Give me my money.
You just sat here and defended the guy for 20 minutes.
Yeah, I did. Never met him.
So, all right, if this was Pittsford and it came up to a vote, would you vote for him to keep his pension? What? You just argued for pension.
I would say, yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I don't want. Is it because you don't pay property tax because you live in your wife's house?
Yeah, we would be a house split.
A house divided?
Oh, yeah.
The Mules, a house divided. We got Facebook messages coming in. You can always get us at WCMF or the Break Room Facebook page. This comes in from Doug. Doug says, I think you have to take the amount of years he's worked, the good jobs he did versus the bad job that he did. That should dictate how much jail time he
that doesn't work at all because you could have been a great guy and had one massive disaster and go, well, he only screwed up once, but it was horrible.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't work.
Okay, thank you. I'm glad because I was worried you were going to latch onto that. Be like,
what was his name? Doug?
Doug.
Yeah, Doug.
Doug.
Oh, my name's Doug.
What's that? Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I don't have a keyboard right now.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we want to know? Yes?
Yeah, right. Trevor's on.
All right, 252 WCMF. We'll take a couple calls. I'm sorry. It is nothing. We've been having some technical difficulties. Luckily, all the sexy dads are up and ready to roll. Let's talk to Trevor, you said?
Yep.
Trevor, you're on CMF, buddy. What's up?
All right. So a while ago, I was a criminal before I realized life was more important.
Okay.
But with this cop doing what he did. So I did 10 years in prison. And when you go upstate, if you got any restitutions, you have to pay any money that comes in, they take it. And you have to work while you're up there.
Okay.
And while you're up there, the most you can make is 25 cents an hour.
Which is actually, now I just want to let you know, Trevor, that is what Tommy currently makes on this show. So.
Tommy makes that.
Yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get my check from Attica.
But no, the thing, I think that either, yes, 100% he should lose his pension because, I mean, he's of authority and you took somebody that was supposed to be out helping a community and you stuck him in a school so you can collect a couple $1,000 over a couple of months.
I mean, that's the other insulting thing. Like, what with this guy, what he was probably making, that $7,000 is asswipe money, man. It's asswipe money.
Right.
Hey, Trevor.
100%.
Thanks for the call, man. I appreciate it. I do want to be clear.
What's that?
Because Trevor brings up something interesting. You know, Trevor admits that you'd gone upstate.
Yeah.
I don't believe that rehabilitation and forgiveness is wrong here, right? Like, like if this guy really feels bad for what he did, like fine, welcome him back into the community.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have to be as the chief of police with no jail time with a pension.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if this guy wants to atone for what he did wrong, forgive the guy. Welcome him back if you find that you can. I just don't get this idea of like, well, if he's sorry, give him the money. All right, let's take a break. Look, this is a reminder, Tommy.
What's that?
That everyone does a little something wrong.
Okay.
In fact, everyone listening is going to break some kind of law at some point today. Odds are it will have something to do with your vehicle.
Oh.
Because we will all drive our cars. Let me try this again. Very few vehicles on the road are 100% perfect.
That's impossible.
The make of a man or a woman is what you are willing to drive with it going wrong. And we may have found a man that set a new record.
Took it too far.
Next, here at the break room on CMF. very few cars on the road are running perfectly.
Yeah.
Odds are there is something wrong with your ride, and where you are in life will dictate what you are willing to let go.
Okay.
Would you agree?
Sure.
Okay. Well, if the allegations are true, that theory says a lot about this man and how all of us have a line we are not willing to cross when it comes to our vehicles. You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5 WCMF. I'm sorry if you're watching the live stream because, everyone can see us now.
Yeah.
There's things happening in our hallway.
Yeah.
Well, there was a guy that we talked about just real quick a couple weeks ago. Dreddo is the kid's name.
Yeah.
It's his last name. He is, despite being in his 20s, he is the lead guitarist on tour for Shaka Khan. And she's on tour with Patti LaBelle. Big tour.
Yeah.
And we talked about how impressed, and I love Shaka Khan and Patti LaBelle, and we were like excited. He's in the building, and it looks like he's going to do a performance in the hallway.
Wow!
And without anyone telling us, they came and shut our door, and now there's all this
sealed
happenings outside, right? And
security.
Tommy's pointing at people.
Yeah.
Hey, give me the old point. All right, going back to the story.
Yeah.
It went down just east of us.
So what happened?
Back on June 5th, a 49-year-old man was pulled over by police in bad weather conditions.
Yeah.
Because he didn't have his headlights on.
Okay.
Turns out, Tommy,
Yeah.
he couldn't turn his headlights on.
Why is that?
They didn't work.
All right.
Further investigation revealed his taillights also didn't work.
Yeah, I'm guessing when the fronts go, the backs goes too.
Okay. Put that on a T-shirt, sell the rock shop. So that's not great.
Yeah.
But the worst of it, police say he didn't have a driver's license.
Wow.
So this man, according to police, got behind the wheel of a car with no headlights, no taillights, in bad weather, without a driver's license.
Damn.
He was arrested, charged with aggravated, unlicensed operation, amongst other things. And, Tommy, this plan was doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Although you may understand why not having the money to fix things on a car would lead to just driving around.
We've all been there.
Yeah. Doing that without a license is insane.
Yeah, you're really pushing it.
Yeah.
You're going to get pulled over.
But I've done it.
But
Bro,
you're gonna get pulled over. Doesn't matter how you're driving, right? Like you could be driving perfectly.
Oh yeah.
And there are plenty of things that they can stop you for at this point that are very, very obvious.
I mean, the fact that guy didn't check the weather forecast before he decided, right, tells you why he ended up in handcuffs. Yeah. All right, but I think there is a grander question here than just laughing at this guy who allegedly went through.
What's that?
The phone number is 252-WCMF, 252-9263.
Yeah.
What are you willing to look past on your car? Something that goes wrong, fixing it versus just letting it ride.
Let it ride.
And let's start with this story.
All right.
Tommy, your headlights go. You getting them fixed?
Yeah, you got to. Yeah, I mean, headlights are like a number one. We come in the middle of the night.
Okay, for us.
Yeah.
You're right. Headlights for us.
Yeah, and you're going to notice when they're out.
Okay,
yeah.
But here's the thing. Headlights might be the most feasible explanation, not getting them fixed in this story, because as long as you drive during the day in good weather, you're fine.
Okay, all right.
Taillights, on the other hand, is insanity.
Well, yeah, because you could die.
Yes, right? You're going to kill somebody else. I mean, past the fact of getting pulled over, somebody will eventually slam into the back.
Yeah.
I was going to say, and you don't realize how important they truly are until you're driving behind somebody without them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
But let's get into the most common stuff, because most people will fix taillights and headlights.
Yeah.
All right, Tommy, check engine light comes on. Are either of you taking it right into the mechanic if your check engine light comes on?
No.
Now, yes. Earlier in my life, no.
Oh.
That was just a map light.
Put the little sticker over it so you don't see it. Kimmy?
If my car feels like it's running fine, like I don't know what nothing's odd about the way it's driving, I'm probably letting it stay on for a while.
You're going to let it ride and hope that it turns off one day when you turn the car back on?
Yeah, because I've had vehicles where it turns on and off, so I'm like, maybe it's, I just convinced myself, just a glitch.
Okay, so there is a belief now, I'm sorry, with the check engine light, and I don't know how true this is, maybe mechanics can help us out, 252-WCMF, that the check engine light coming on now is not as bad as it used to be.
Well, it could be a lot of other things.
No, I think, because now your car will tell you maintenance is due. Like a lot of cars will say it'll hit a mileage thing, and it'll say like your
like oil change, whatever. Yeah.
Right, which means like your car's not falling apart, but it's time for it to be looked at.
Oh, I'm talking even the straight check engine light.
Oh, okay.
Like that,
straight engine light means you got a problem.
Well, no, I get from what I have heard.
What are they saying?
And again, I don't know if this is true. That the cars today are so technologically advanced that any little thing that doesn't actually affect how your car runs can trigger that check engine light.
All right.
Right. But how old you are could be the biggest factor in taking it to the shop, because you said you're 90 and you're taking the car right in now.
Right, but I used to roll broke. And I was accused of junk driving for years.
Oh, there wasn't accused of. You were guilty.
But I got away with so much stuff.
Okay.
But it was Florida.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to get your car inspected.
Yeah, they dropped that, at least when I was living down there.
But they can check your car out when they pull you over.
Oh, yeah, that's what they did. But, bald tires, no insurance.
Bald chicks in the front seat.
Bald chick, trout mouth, not in season. Banging her, and she wasn't in season.
252 WCMF talking about those check engine lights. Nick's on CMF. Hey, Nick, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Duffy, what's going on, brother?
What do you got?
All right. So, as I'm driving on 390 in this terrible traffic right now, I bought a car brand new, 2022. I've been driving it because I can't trade it in because I owe too much, blah, blah, blah. You know how that goes?
Sure.
I recently spent like $3,000 on this thing. New windshield, new tires, because potholes on 390, coincidentally. And then I had a check engine light for coolant system, so I fixed it all. I leave the dealership, and I've got a new check engine light. And I'm like, come on, man.
I mean, it's funny, man. It does feel like, Nick, once that check engine light goes on once, it never comes off. It just keeps going on.
Dude, you can't even make it up. So I let it go. Like, my inspection expired in January. I let it go until I got pulled over 2 weeks ago, right? I was like, all right, I work for a cop. So he's like, dude, you got to get that done. I'm going to get you pulled over. It's joking, but he's like, you got to get that thing fixed. I'm like, man, I'm just going to let it ride until something happens.
Did you say it that high? Because that's not very intimidating, nor it makes me confident.
I'm going to get it done. But anyway, so I had this check engine light for EVAP, of all things. I'm willing to let this inspection go because I am very mechanically inclined. I tried to figure it out, couldn't figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Took it to the dealership. Wouldn't you know they figured out it's just covered under warranty, but they're like, oh, by the way, you need rotors, this, that, and the other to pass inspection. So I'm like, man, shell out another $500, but inspection, man. That's what I'm willing to let go because,
all right.
Dang it, it costs so much money these days to even be able to ride on a road, and the roads are what's causing the problem, man.
And don't even get me started about the water department.
Dang it.
Dang it.
Get a rope and hang me.
Thanks for the call, Nick. Have a good rest of the day. There goes Dick. Oh, man. There.
Poor Dick.
252 WCMF. We're talking about the story just east of us. A man was pulled over, 49 years old, after police say he, in bad weather, had no headlights, no taillights, and no driver's license. All of them were inoperable. And we're talking about what you are willing to let slide. So Troy writes us on Instagram, Duffy on WCMF, the easiest way to get us on Instagram. Check engine light, no problem. One headlight or taillight, no problem. Cracked or missing windows, no problem. No license, no problem. But when both lights and taillights are out is where I draw the line.
Okay.
So do we have to start comboing things for people to get really bothered by it?
Sounds like it.
But then, once all those little things start adding up, I feel like I'm even less likely to go because I'm like, well, I could live with that. If I could live with that, I could live with that.
You're right.
It's like a domino effect.
All right, let me ask you guys this as we talk about the things you're willing to let go.
Yeah.
Cracking the windshield.
How big?
As a teenager, I let this go for a long time.
Okay.
It started with a little, must have been a pebble or something kicked up. So there's just this little spot in the corner. And then, slowly over time it grows, but it grows so slowly that, again, if it was like that initially, I probably would have gotten it taken care of. But because it was happening so slowly, you still convince yourself, I could see fine. There's nothing going on here.
How long would it have to be before you
It would drive me nuts because I'm constantly seeing it.
Well,
you know what I mean?
It's out your windshield.
I had to fix it.
Okay. So you would get it fixed immediately.
Yeah, now, yes.
Yeah, you see folks let this go all the time, which is a little strange because the technology now exists to get that fixed way cheaper than it used to be.
But they come to you.
Yes, right? You don't even have to replace the whole damn windshield. They can put that little sucker thing
Yeah,
over.
they kind of put some glue in it or something.
And then they put that sucker thing on. They call it the Edie. And then it just makes the chip or the crack go away. Give me the Edie. Now give me the thing to fix the windshield. Is it the mechanical stuff or the comfort stuff that bothers people more? For example,
something wrong with my car, my seat or something like that?
Let me put it like this. We're supposed to have a really hot summer in Rochester.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you can choose one. You can only fix one.
All right.
Cracking your windshield 5 inches long across your eyes.
Yeah.
Or your AC stopped working.
AC's got to work.
So what, you're going to look through that crack the whole summer?
Even though it'll drive me nuts, but AC is critical.
By the way, that crack in the windshield is dangerous. It makes the structural integrity of the windshield less.
I get it. But how about my sweaty ass?
I think the structural integrity of the car is still good with your sweaty ass.
So let's say you got both going on. Are you fixing both at the same time, or are you
No,
just
you gotta
fixing
pick
one?
one.
You got to pick one.
You got to pick one.
Which one are you picking?
Probably the AC.
Well, you go with the crack too?
I told you I drove with a cracked one for a while, so I feel like I could do it again if I had to.
Brandino writes us on Instagram. I love that. I want you to call me Brandino from now on. Duffy on WCMF, the easiest way to get us on Instagram. I currently drive a 2004 Corolla. The windows don't work. The exhaust is broken in 2 spots. Check engine light has been on for 2 years. It leaks gas, it leaks oil, leaks tranny fluid, doesn't hold window washer, and has 230,000 miles on it. It hasn't been inspected since 2021.
That thing is a bomb. That's a legitimate bomb.
You can't name more
it leaks
things.
Gas. Did you say it leaks gas?
Yeah, you did say it leaks gas. I drove a car that leaked gas for a while.
Me too, but it was, and you could smell it all the time.
Yeah.
Now my buddy.
You do get used to that smell, by the way.
Now my buddy has a weird one that I think he looks sad.
Okay.
At his age.
Okay.
He drives a car where the horn doesn't work.
Really? That's a weird one. I've never heard of somebody's horn not working.
And he's like my age.
Okay.
And he's one of these guys, he always buys these, he calls them classics. They're like beat up old caddies.
Okay.
But they're not classic. They're raggedy.
Okay, no, you have a really strict definition of classic because there are cars that I think are cool. Where you're like, please do.
But you can just see it's got weak suspension in it.
Weak suspension.
Oxidized headlights doesn't make it a classic. You have a rusted out aerial where your CB was. It's got a Bush Cheney bumper sticker on it. But he drives around with no horn because he doesn't have the money to fix it. But that's one of those things you could probably get away with it.
Yeah.
When's the last time you laid on your horn?
I'm a no horn guy. We've talked about this. But here's the thing.
Obviously, sometimes you have to for emergencies.
But that's just it. You don't realize how much you need your horn until you need your horn.
Right.
True.
Then everybody's cutting you off.
Getting somebody's attention.
And by the way, he does this in South Florida with some of the worst traffic. So I think he's just yelling at people.
Honk! Honk!
I'm over here. I'm over here.
It's also amazing what I'm willing to ignore if my check engine light isn't on.
Oh.
If it's if I'm hearing a weird sound or something isn't feeling right, but the light's not on, so it must be fine.
Okay.
If my car's not telling me anything's wrong directly, I'm probably going to ignore it.
Okay, I think that's fair. Going back to what Brandino said, he said the windows don't work. All right, how about this? No radio, so you get no sound coming out of your car, or the windows don't roll down. You can only fix one. Which one are you fixing?
I think I need the windows down.
So you will just drive in silence.
Can never go through. Yeah.
I can't drive in silence.
Yeah, you don't want to be left alone with those thoughts. So you would fix the radio and have the windows not roll down.
Yeah.
But think of you couldn't stop
I really
at
love
an
the
ATM.
beat.
You couldn't go through a drive-through. Think of how often you need your window rolled down.
You do not understand how busted you truly are until your automatic windows stop.
It is sad.
Because my brother drove a car in his early 20s where the windows did not work, and he loved the drive-through. And every time he went to the drive-through, he'd have to loop out and around, open the door. Hey, how about getting pulled over by a cop? And you have to signal for them to back up so you can open the door.
Window's not working.
The most embarrassing, and I watched this happen to my brother. We were in the where we grew up, right? And he's driving out, and one of the neighbors runs out, wants to say hi to him. And he couldn't roll the window down. So he had to stop the car, open the door, explain his windows didn't work. And the neighbor's like, oh, yeah, okay.
So I drove a car busted, and the passenger door never fully shut.
How does that even work?
I don't know. So if you made a hard left, you had to grab onto the door because the door would, and it was a sedan, it was a 2-door. So this big-ass door would swing open. So I knew if I had to make a hard left, I had to and I'm short, right?
Yeah.
I got stubby arms. So I had to lean way over like this, grab it, and hold on to it for dear life. Because when those doors swing open, it isn't the swing it open. It's when it comes back around and slams shut, you'll blow your window out.
So you were holding the door every time
You're on window duty.
Yeah. You had door duty.
You also had to explain this to everyone that got in your car. How did you get laid?
Yeah.
I was married at the time, so I was not getting laid.
Wait. Okay, it was your first marriage.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
This
This is when I was deeply busted in South Florida.
You made good money. How did this happen?
Bro, I was bad with money.
Yeah, no kidding. You couldn't afford a door that
Bro,
closed.
she was a complete sea bag, man.
You married her.
I know this. I screwed up.
And wasn't she rich?
No, that was the fiance.
That was fiance.
Can we all keep up on the women that Tommy has bought rings
This
for?
chick was busted Irish Poe.
What? You didn't have to include the Irish part.
I know.
What was that?
It
What's
seemed
that about?
unnecessary.
Just, for reference.
Really? Not like the Italian I know whose door didn't close. All right, let's take a break. Your Buffalo Bills, it gets real this week.
What happens now?
Everybody has to be in town, mandatory for off-season training activities.
Right.
And one of the NFL's most coveted insiders, a guy who knows a lot about everything, had some not great news for the Bills and one specific player.
Oh.
And, Kimmy, it does kind of feel, if things are trending in this direction, something has to happen soon.
I would think.
And we'll get into it next here in the break room. I'll see you back.
What's the matter?
No.
What happened?
Look, nothing is like critical yet, and maybe this week everything moves forward and it's fine, whatever. Even if he doesn't show this week, it's okay. But like hearing this from this guy makes me feel not so great about a situation the Bills and one specific player find themselves in. You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5, WCMF. We'll jump right into it. Your Buffalo Bills start mandatory off-season training activities this week, which means every player will be in Orchard Park training.
So you best drag your ass in.
That's right. Although it seems one player will not be there.
Yep.
Adam Schefter, you're familiar with Adam Schefter?
Yeah, big Raider guy.
Yeah. What? Big
Raider.
I thought you said Raider. Quarterback of the Raiders, Adam Schefter.
No, I'm sure he's mentioned the Raiders a few times.
Adam Schefter, insider for ESPN, said on his podcast this week he would, quote, not be surprised if James Cook, running back, decided to stay away from the team. But not only that, he says that the Bills and James Cook remain, quote, far apart in their contract negotiations. Okay. So, fun fact about this week's OTAs. Now, the mini camps that were happening before, those were voluntary.
Right.
You didn't have to go, no big deal. Starting this week, he can be fined for every practice that he misses.
Ooh.
You ready for these fines?
Yeah.
It's a fine of $17,000 for the first missed day.
17 a day?
$34,000 for the second missed day.
$17,000, not $1,700.
No, $17,000.
$17,000.
The second day is $34,000. The third day, $52,000. So when it's all said and done, they could fine him $100,000 for not showing up to minicamp.
Damn.
It's not going to help his contract negotiations.
Now I need more money.
I mean, that's funny you say that. That's the argument some guys make when it's over.
Yeah.
I've held out of camp for so long that I need to make up that cash. So, okay.
Wow.
If all of this is not depressing enough, when talking about the contract negotiations, James Cook, and the effect it's having on the franchise, he used the phrase dark cloud if and when Cook returns to the team.
Oh.
We also know that James Cook has put his house up for sale in Buffalo.
Oh, he's out. He's out.
Kimmy?
Yeah.
Starting to worry yet?
I'm a little worried. The Bills haven't had really this situation in a long time. Actually, I really can't think of a time a player that was having this type of success that decided, I don't think I want to be here anymore.
It hasn't happened in the Brandon Beane, Sean McDermott
Yeah.
era.
Oh, wow.
It has not. They have not had a holdout like this.
And based on what we've seen from other teams, I mean, there's always a team that's dealing with this in some way. It never ends quickly. Like, this is going to be a long, drawn out thing this offseason. If he's not showing up this week, this is going to be a very back and forth. I don't see the Bills resolving this anytime soon.
You worried about this?
Yeah, because I said they should pay him. He had a great season, and he was a big part of the team.
I mean, I'm sure they would love to do that, but
can't afford it.
Yeah.
Don't other teams have great quarterbacks and great running backs that they pay?
No.
They
had
don't?
to pay other people.
Yeah, normally you pay one or the other, and recently you've been paying the quarterbacks.
And technically, with this contract, you don't have to pay him right now.
They actually can control him for 2 more years, have him under control for 2 more years if they want to. They have him for this year under contract. If they wanted to, they could franchise tag him. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah, so then basically he's stuck.
Yeah, he would make the average of the top 5 salaries of running backs in the league for 1 season. So if the Bills want, they have him under control for 2 more years. And when you say it like that, it sounds really bad.
It does, and
you're under control.
And I feel like players don't really want that most of the time.
No, they hate the franchise tag.
It's not going to help, the relationship.
Do we know the number of what he's looking for?
He wants $15 million. He's a 12
per season.
$15 million per season. Based on his output, he's about a $12 to $13 million running.
So you're really not. It sounds like
over
a lot.
5 years.
Well,
per year.
Yeah, the kid wants his money.
That's a $15 million difference. That's like a legitimate wide receiver.
All right, but you already have that. Don't you?
No, but I'm saying like that, whatever that piece is. Like you have to constantly replace pieces.
Yeah, I get it.
Look, man, I want James Cook to get his money. You know how I am about
this.
And
he was good.
He is good. He is good.
And you can make an argument it helped Josh get that MVP.
I don't think it's an argument. I think it's a fact.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can only pay one of them. Who are you going to pay?
Well, you give it all to the kid. Huh?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's easy to sit here and go, pay that man. Like, this is why you were so bad with money.
I mean, does it feel like to you he's ready to go? Like, does it feel like he even really wants to be in Buffalo anymore?
Well, he doesn't speak, so it's hard to figure
hard
out
to
where his
get
head's at.
Silent type, yeah.
Like, I mean, putting his house on the market could all be a play.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not a good look.
No.
Especially, like, again, you're the first guy in the Beane McDermott era to go through this. So there's another problem on the horizon, which I think might get this to an end quicker than we think.
What's that?
Again, 252 WCMF. Adam Schefter on his podcast this week, ESPN Insider, said, as Bills kick off off-season training activities mandatory this week, he does not expect Bills running back James Cook to get there. He described the situation as a dark cloud over the team and said that the team and Cook still very far apart on contract negotiations. You want to get this done, period.
Yeah.
But the Bills have extra motivation. Remember when you said you were excited for Hard Knocks?
Oh, yeah.
Full access to all of the background stuff
Can't
of the
wait.
Buffalo Bills?
You're
Yeah.
going to hear all of it.
You know what you don't want? Because the Bills hate distractions, period.
Yeah.
They will not want this contract stuff going on. I am worried.
Yeah, but it
Kimmy-
makes for good TV.
Yeah, Bills don't want that. I am worried
Yeah.
that the Bills will cut their losses before they get to training camp so this drama does not play out on camera.
So they'll
behind the
bail on
scenes.
them?
Trade.
Trade him.
Trade him out?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here because you don't, as a general manager, want negotiations to show up
but
on
are you
camera.
gonna rush
But they
it
do
just
on-
because the cameras are there?
When you watch Hard Knocks, there usually is something going on like that.
Yeah, you mean
Yeah.
like when the Giants were negotiating with Saquon Barkley and they decided to let him walk, and that whole embarrassing scene showed up on film and is the quintessential
Good TV.
moment. Yeah, I don't want that for my team.
I want some good TV.
Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane are aware of what that did to the Giants. They don't want to
But
part.
they better put on a nice show.
Shut up! I know. Give me the most boring show of all time. I'm not
It is,
watching it
is,
anyway.
Yeah.
Well, if you're not going to the Super Bowl, give me a goddamn show.
I would rather them go to the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, but then pay the kid.
Pay kid, you can't afford it.
Cut somebody's salary.
You can't. They're contracts. Union, buddy.
I'm sure that'll make everybody happy, knowing their salaries could just be cut at any time.
You're not even allowed to cut salaries. Sign a contract.
You sign a contract. Now start running.
Okay, so here's the thing.
What?
Here's the thing. Like we said, the Bills can control his rights for 2 more seasons. He's under contract now. Even if he doesn't show up this week,
Yeah.
it could be just him like trying to let the team know like how unhappy he is.
Shefford or
I've been saying this
Little
all
strategy.
which is blowing up in his face.
Yeah,
The
I don't-
negotiating in public is blown up in his face. The house thing seems to have blown up in his face. I've been saying all offseason, I am not worried until he holds out of training camp. But now that Hard Knocks is in play, I am afraid the Bills don't want it to get that far.
Hey, is there any way, and I'm being serious, not trying to do a joke.
I'm not doing my jokey jokes over here.
You joke, the Pat Duffy joke show. Is there any way they could pull a move that doesn't count against the cap?
No.
Like give him something?
No.
They can't?
I don't
No.
think with what he's asking for, you can like wiggle that.
No,
No,
let's
he needs
say-
like a piece of the franchise
No,
or a
I'm
car.
saying like a
Like bonuses
car,
and
a
stuff.
boat,
No.
something he would. They can't give him a yacht.
I don't think.
No, it would count. No, you can't. It's
No,
against-
side yacht.
When did anybody ever work a yacht into their
I
contract?
would.
You going to use a yacht in Buffalo? Biggest yacht on Lake Erie.
Yeah, that would be nice.
No, there is. No, you can't.
All right.
Well, wouldn't every team do that?
Yeah.
I thought they kind of did with in certain situations.
Who? Where? When?
I don't know.
I thought
just-
they did. Give me an example. No.
Well, like when guys get in trouble in some guy's boat or something. I don't know.
But those aren't their boats. That's why they get in trouble.
Are you confusing college football with the NFL?
Maybe.
Are you confusing the SMU documentary you watched with professional football?
With Eric Dickerson.
Yeah. Craig James.
They gave him a really nice Trans Am.
Yeah, they did.
Gold Trans Am.
And then they didn't.
Damn.
Then they were legally weren't allowed to play football for 3 years.
Yeah, it kind of hurt the program for a little while.
Yeah, for a little while. 25 years. Okay.
What's the matter?
No, what do you mean? What's the matter? I'll tell you what's the matter.
I tell you. I'm goddamn mad, I'll tell you.
It's just like.
I'm steaming.
No, I don't even know who to be mad at because I do want James Cook to get paid. right?
He's got a legitimate gripe.
He does. And, like, these guys' careers are super short, and running backs
Yeah,
especially.
especially.
He could fall off a cliff next year and it's over. I want the man to get paid. Like, if he went and signed a contract with another team that was worth $15 million, I would not hold it against him. I understand. I just don't want the distraction.
You just want him to figure it out.
Yeah, but you
Thank
also
you.
don't want a
One way or the
Marshawn
other.
Lynch thing where he goes to another team and he literally throws him on his back and takes him to a Super Bowl.
Okay,
And then you're sitting there going, well, at least we made a point.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's not the point. You're going to get something back for James Cook,
Yeah.
where you got a 5th-round pick back for Marshawn Lynch, and he didn't do anything here anyway. I think you can argue with the pick that you used for James Cook, Kimmy, he has
already
eclipsed what the value was of what they
Okay,
drafted.
so you got your money out of it.
Yeah, I mean, last year he was a top 4 or 5 running back in the NFL.
Yeah.
Shut up.
I like the kid.
I like him too. Just can't afford him.
Damn it.
No, I like steak. I can't eat steak every night.
Yeah, and again, you don't want to force him to be here because that doesn't benefit anybody.
Yeah, and he doesn't even talk already anyway. Like, he's just be pouting, walking around the locker room with no
You're
shirt
not gonna
on.
get anything interesting.
Ooh. And we're going to lose those amazing Apple commercials he does. Have you seen those?
No.
He doesn't speak, and he has an endorsement with New York State apples. So he holds up the apple. He's like, I like apples. Apples are delicious.
I don't think I've seen this.
Bro, every time he has to post them on his Instagram as part of the deal, every time he posts them, it's his teammates in the replies crushing him. It is hilarious. All right, let's take a break. So, sex sells.
Oh, sure.
Except it doesn't.
Not on the show.
Yeah, who's the sexy one?
The sexless morning show.
Yes, absolutely.
That's not what I heard. Kimmy's got admirers from states away calling. I know she's married, but I don't want to use the word obsession. Sex sells, except in this case, it doesn't. Other than when full sex actually sells.
Full sex.
Look, something happened over the weekend that illustrated how these once dominant chain restaurants in America, nobody wants to go to anymore.
Okay.
So you would think, we don't care about women and their bodies, and that doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Except this other thing is booming in ways it never has before. So it seems when it comes to sex and food, we either want all of the sex or none of the sex. And we'll get to it next on CMF. We like boobies. But we need all the boobies.
All of it?
Because as one industry is booming right now,
Yeah.
another that is similar is being wiped off the face of America.
Yeah.
And it sure seems like when it comes to seeing our sexual fantasy,
Yeah.
we now prefer either all of it or none of it.
Okay.
You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5, WCMF. Speaking of sexual fantasy,
Yeah.
today it starts.
Oh, boy.
Well over 60 dads have entered themselves at WCMF.com in this year's WCMF 2025 Sexiest Dad Competition. Now you can go to WCMF.com and you can vote. And we have broken a record for most shirtless dads.
Wow.
I think you're right, Kimmy, that shirtless dad discussion we had last week.
It inspired some people.
And all your prayers.
There are shirtless dads who should
Of
be
all
shirtless.
kinds.
Oh, man, oh, man.
It's all shapes
Oh,
A lot
boy.
of nips.
and shades.
Yeah, a lot of nips, shades, and ships. Some of them look like ships. So go to WCMF.com, vote for your favorite sexy dad. It's up this week doing it again. One sexy dad will take home a watch from our good friends at Heritage Jewelers valued at $500.
Wow.
WCMF.com right now to vote. So we told you a few months ago that Hooters
Yeah.
was struggling.
Yeah.
Well, over the weekend, they shut down, according to a story, over 30 restaurants out of nowhere.
Damn.
They're closed.
In a weekend.
Yes. It seems that it is just a matter of time before Hooters either completely goes out of business or they only have like their 3 main locations left.
All in Florida.
So on top of that, Tommy, Hooters' main competitor, it's a similar restaurant known as Twin Peaks. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, we never had one in Rochester, but they closed their last location ever last week.
So they're out.
Yes, they're done. We never had a Twin Peaks, but we did have a Tilted Kilt.
Yeah, there was one here, right?
Yep,
yeah.
you remember Tilted Kilt. That blew up fast.
Yeah.
Tommy, at one point, Tilted Kilt had over 100 locations nationwide.
That's pretty impressive.
Do you know how many they have today?
I'm guessing less.
6.
6
Wow.
6.
kilts left.
Yep. The bottom line,
Yeah.
restaurants. I wish I came up with that, but that's
That's a
now a
great
term in
one.
the industry. Restaurants are going extinct.
All right.
People-
So what happened?
Well, that's the question. Like, what do you think? 252 WCMF. They don't really give a reason why.
Because, I mean, men still want to look at women.
Yeah, but maybe
Or maybe
those
not.
men are just doing it on their own. Like, you could go to those restaurants and spend money on a beer, or I could pay somebody on OnlyFans.
Could
or
do that.
just-
All right, all
or
right.
just, like, find somebody online or find. I mean, just. I wonder if it cut the creep factor got cut out, and that was a certain percentage of their business.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up because as restaurants are dying, you'd think this would mean sex in public doesn't really sell anymore.
Yeah.
But you'd be wrong because it turns out the strip club business is booming right now.
Okay, so we wanted it raw. We went raw ass nips.
Raw ass nips?
Yeah.
I'd get that looked at. My wife's a dermatologist. You got nips on your ass.
You want it all or nothing at all.
So it's believed
Yeah,
that
you on a show.
Yeah, it's believed that strip clubs are a recession-proof business. We may find out.
Hmm.
Kimmy, a study showed a couple weeks ago that Rochester had some of the most strip clubs per capita in
Yeah.
America. We were named
Go
one of the
figure.
top 20 strippiest cities in America.
Yes.
Things are going so well locally that the Tally Ho is in the midst of building an addition, a VIP upstairs
An
area
upper hoe. Tally ho.
to their existing
Yes.
building. All right, so
Yeah.
with all this information we
Okay.
now have, why do we love strip clubs but want nothing to do anything anymore with restaurants?
Because the restaurant was great because you could a married guy could kind of go to that place because it wasn't just straight up nudity.
Okay.
And eroticism.
But I guess at this point, does it do anything for you?
No, but at least he could go there. He couldn't tell his wife he was going to a strip club.
I see what you're
But
saying.
he could go with the boys to Hooters, watch a game, eat some wings, and look at the pretty girls.
Could you?
Well, they did.
I understood they did.
But that
Were
drive,
wives aware where they were going?
I guess. Hooters was always a weird place because you could see families in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad would take the family to Hooters.
But you saw it in South Florida. Like you would see families that went to church and then went to Hooters to watch the game.
Yeah.
It's just a weird setup.
No, I agree with you. Like looking back on it, when I was living it didn't seem weird at all. This was just the
Yeah.
place you went, and the girls were pretty. But I wouldn't. I don't know if I'd take my kids to Hooters. I mean, maybe it's different with girls and boys. Although even with boys, check out this sex.
But like
Look at it.
I have a question because I guess I don't remember. I mean, I know obviously it was mostly all women that worked. Were there male waiters?
At Hooters?
Yeah.
No, that was Sausages. That was next door.
No, I'm asking, though, because like I'm
I think it was
wondering
called
if
Cranks.
that hurt your...
Mine was way better.
Cranks is way quicker.
Cranks.
What'd you call it? Sausages?
Okay, why Sausages, there's a double entendre. What's the crank double? It's like calling it penises, you idiot.
What do you call it? Sausage?
Sausages, because I'm serving sausages.
But there's no sausage on the menu.
How do you, yeah, of course there's sausage on there. No, there's sausage all over.
No,
the
I
menu.
came in here for sausages.
Really? As opposed to the other place where you came in for cranks? Kimmy, I'm sorry. You were saying.
But I guess if you're cutting out men completely off the staff, was it harder and harder to staff a full restaurant with just women?
That's a good question.
You can always find Shattered Dreams somewhere to work.
Now that's a name of a guy's
Shattered Dreams.
Dongsterant. I don't know, Kimmy. I mean,
Well, I'm just wondering if that changed over time because they maybe were having a problem like filling the position.
No, but you're just not getting people coming into the joint.
yeah. Well, you did have a
Well-
theory about those restaurants when they opened with their clientele versus or their employees versus a year down the road.
Well, the talent kind of drops off because what they would do is when they would open up a Hooters, they would bring in girls from all over, the hottest ones to open up the place.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it died down, they brought in the local girls. And the talent dipped.
Oh, yep.
Oh, it dipped, bro.
Dipped.
Yeah, you think we got potholes? This,
Shut
this
up.
This was a chasm of dip.
252 WCMF. 252-9263. We are talking about how over the weekend, late last week, Hooters not mysteriously, they were talking about filing for bankruptcy, shut down 30 restaurants out of nowhere. 2 weekends ago, their biggest competitor, a place called Twin Peaks, closed their last ever locations. Currently, Tilted Kilt, which we also had here in Rochester at one point, they had over 100 locations nationwide. Today, they have 6. Restaurants are going out of business. Meanwhile, strip club business is booming, and we're trying to figure out why. Nobody wants restaurants, but everyone wants full nudity. Can I throw a theory out?
What's that?
And by the way, creeps, don't call me. I understand it's not full nudity. They got to keep their bottoms on. Could the strip club be more economical?
Well, that's what
That
I was
when I
thinking.
went, it was always expensive as crap.
But if that's what you're looking for specifically, maybe the meals got too expensive at the other places.
To her point.
And it's more fun.
Well,
like you're having
Yeah.
fun at a strip club.
You're going
Hooters.
for
you're
that
also having
reason.
fun at Hooters.
But you ain't having that kind of fun, bro.
Let's walk down the food route for a second. The food at restaurants was way overpriced because you were paying for the experience. And that adds up quick.
Yeah.
You could easily spend, even back in the day, over $100 between 2 guys at Hooters.
Yeah.
Think about what a Hooters, 20 wings and a pitcher of beer would cost
Yeah.
now. Yes, the drinks in a strip club are expensive. But you find one without a cover, you have a drink or two, tip $30.
But you might get a lap dance or two.
Okay, but let's say that's your $30, 20,
All right.
$30. You could be out of there for under $50.
So I don't know what a lap dance goes for anymore. Like a lap dance.
Is any man going to call up and willingly admit what a lap dance costs?
Because I remember they used to be $10 a tune.
Where you went,
Or what were you getting?
I was 20 easy.
Yeah, they demanded it out of you.
Well, that was at Cranks. No, I don't. Can I be honest with you?
What?
I've never gotten a lap dance.
What?
I would go to strip clubs, like with my buddies, and I would
See, I
tip.
always assumed every guy had one at some point
Oh,
in his
yeah.
life.
Okay, because like when I was going to strip clubs, I was like younger,
Yeah.
and
But that would be the time when I would think you're
Yeah.
naive enough to be like, I want to see what this is all about.
no, but this. All right, I'm going to share something I've never shared with anybody.
What's that?
And it might be embarrassing, and I don't know. I was afraid I was going to get a boner, and
You will get a boner. That's the point.
I wasn't sure if that was allowed. I
Yes.
didn't want the girl to like.
I could
That's
see being
why
afraid of
you
breaking
do
the
it.
I
rules.
didn't know.
She's grinding her bottom on your rod.
Yes, I
For you
understand
to get sprung.
how lap dances work, but I didn't want to be back there, and then they give me a lap dance, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And then like security drags me out of there. Meanwhile, my boner is just like sticking straight out.
Bro, the boner ain't the problem. It's what the boner is doing. Like you walk out there sometimes, a little bit of
Okay, we get
a
it.
stain on
We
your
know.
britches. You got a
We know what
quarter. You got a
happens.
quarter stain on them Levi's, boy.
I can't be the only guy that was self-conscious about getting a
I'm
boner.
sure.
Makes sense as a kid, I guess.
But I can remember. This is sad.
What story has it been
I
so
know.
far this
So
morning?
when I
hear
used to
about?
when I used to go see my parents at the nursing home in Florida, there was this place called Rachel's right down the road, and sometimes I would go in there and get a couple of drinks for lunch.
Okay.
And I would just get a lap dance right there. And there was hardly anybody in the joint. One of the girls would come over and give me a couple of quick lap dances, and it would cost me like $40.
This was on lunch.
Lunch and a lap dance.
Like this wasn't on lunch from work.
Oh
This
no,
was-
I was on vacation.
Oh, on
visiting
vacation.
my
I'm
parents
sorry, I'm
at the
sorry.
nursing home.
Oh, my
The place is
God.
called Rachel's. I go in and I get a couple of cocktails, and
I'm sorry.
I get a lap dance. So it cost
That's
me
the
$40
most sad thing I've ever heard.
to get a nice lap, to get a little stain.
Okay.
And then I
Stop
leave.
that. Okay. So Rob writes us on Instagram.
What?
Duffy on WCMF. The easiest way to get us. According to Rob and some other folks, lap dances now cost $20 per song.
That makes sense.
25 at some places, ... My friend just told me.
Okay. That makes sense because it was, 20 years ago.
Can I throw another theory as to why strip clubs are booming and restaurants are dying?
What's that?
Strip club offers anonymity.
Okay.
Right.
For customers.
Yeah, people may be a little self-conscious about being seen walking into a Hooters, taking their family in, being seen there.
Yeah, you got it. And no one's going to blow you in for being in a strip club because that means they'd also have to admit.
Yeah, everybody's cool.
I was only in here to get directions on how to get away from here. But like you said before, Hooters, Tilted, Kilt, there were families that ate there.
Oh, yeah.
But a family having fun does feel different than like a
Just a
single
guy.
guy walking into, sitting at the bar and like chatting up the chicks in the orange hot pants.
Yep. Yeah, it's a different vibe.
You know, where this does suck,
What's that?
the women that work at these places.
At the strip club or the Hooters?
Hooters.
Both. Here's
Well,
why.
I was gonna say Hooters because there's no alternative
Yeah.
for them once they lose that gig.
I
right?
mean, she's right.
Well,
Like,
you could try it down at Bob Evans.
by the way, Bob Evans could also be the name of a restaurant involving penises.
Yes.
My Bob Evans down here. And my Cracker Barrel. Being an adult dancer
Yeah.
is a decision you have to make. Do you understand what I'm saying?
yeah,
Look,
yeah.
no.
You go into it fully knowing what you're getting into.
Yeah, you're going to be a peeler.
And here's the thing. I'm not judging. Get your money, ladies. Whatever you got to
Yeah.
do. But, Kimmy, there are a lot of women who could not bring themselves to go that far.
Mm-hmm.
There are women who would also be judged harshly by
Oh,
people that found out they
it's
were doing
terrible.
it. You're not Kimmy. Trying to get a woman's point of view here. Hooters waitresses, not so much. Because, yes, your chest was out, but it was more of a look at the fun we're having situation.
Yeah, I think there was still some judgment there, though.
For working at Hooters.
Probably.
As bad as a strip club?
No, probably not as bad as a strip club, but I'm guessing. I'm thinking like you probably. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I guess because it was a little bit before my time. But like, were you bragging about it if you worked there?
To some people, some people you were just dumb. You were
Yeah.
just a dumb girl who worked
Yeah,
at Hooters.
I think there was definitely some judgment there for
and
sure.
back in the day when we were doing like charity stuff, some charities would not take Hooter money. If Hooters tried to do a charity, some of the charities in town wouldn't touch their money
Why?
because they thought it was like dirty
Sinful.
money or
Okay.
degrading to women or something. I don't know.
I'd love to. Well, I mean, look, it was kind of degrading to women. But then again, there was also that weird argument, or like side by side of
She should have the ability to do it if she wants to.
there's that,
Right.
and like you say the argument was made by people back in the day. These women look stupid. They are stupid. You're degrading yourself. You're also bringing in men who think they're smarter than you.
Yes,
That think
and taking
that
their money.
Yes, you like them and you're taking their money from. So who's the real idiot here?
Right.
Right.
Get their money.
Exactly. Like I'm not judging you at all. Do what you got to do.
Who are you going to sell suntan pantyhose to? Because that was the weirdest look, man. Short shorts and then pantyhose.
With the long socks scrunched
Yeah.
down.
There
Yeah.
also had to be so much judgment for women who were a little bit older that did it too.
How long could you go?
There was a SAG limit
No, didn't they
by
have
SAG, the union.
Didn't they have the Hooters championship tour? Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
In all sincerity, I understand that you're not this guy anymore. But let's say single Tommy.
Yeah.
There was a 50-plus restaurant
Yeah.
where these women,
So they're women my age.
Yeah.
And yeah.
would that do it for you?
Oh yeah.
So like scantily clad women.
And that are middle aged?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are they saying like the most sought after like porn now is like mature porn?
Okay, but mature porn is like 28. I'm not making that up.
I don't know.
Like if you search mature in porn, it's like that
It's like
person
a
is younger than my wife.
woman
Yeah, but
playing
exactly.
an older woman.
Yeah, but a guy my age would want to see that.
Okay, but I'm saying she's got a Maroon 5 tattoo somewhere on her body. Like
Yeah, it
she's
doesn't
not
matter.
as old as you think.
All right.
The good thing too about having like an older Hooters restaurant,
Yeah, what's that?
right, is that if you put Swiffers on their nipples, she could serve and clean at the same time.
Because you're a little saggy.
Da, 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 it's over here. Now I tell the booby joke over here. All right, let's take a break.
All right.
This story is alarming for like 5 different reasons.
Oh.
I think mostly because we don't have a motive for the allegations.
Yeah.
And what it comes down to is you assume there are certain places that are just like rock solid secure. You look around, you see the security, and you go, anything that happens here, they've got a plan for it.
Okay.
And when they don't, we'll get into it next
All right.
here in the break room on CMF. You know where you should never mess around?
Police department.
That's a good one. I would argue, more importantly, the airport.
Oh, okay.
They take things pretty seriously out there.
Yeah, not a lot of humor at the airport.
Yeah, which is why this story is so bizarre. What this man allegedly did is legitimately insane. And what makes the story even more crazy, we don't know why.
Oh.
You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5. WCMF, if you have not yet, we encourage you.
Yes.
Log on to the Odyssey app, WCMF.com, YouTube, or Twitch. Our live stream is up. You can see Tommy's beautiful platform maroon bowling shoes this morning. Big hit at Hooters back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
The Break Room WCMF on YouTube and Twitch. See a man's career slowly die on our live stream from your friends here in the Break Room on CMF. Tommy,
Yeah.
back on May 20th, there was an incident at the Buffalo International Airport.
Ooh, what happened?
Authorities say a pickup truck rammed through a gate near the runway.
Were you trying to get onto the tarmac?
Yes. So they say he hit the
He
gate.
was really missing that flight.
He hit the gate multiple times.
Yeah.
He then broke through the gate, proceeded to drive his truck onto restricted airport property. Authorities say he was seen driving through multiple secure parts of the airport, including the aircraft taxiways and the effing runway.
God damn.
They say he was driving his truck on the runway where planes go. Eventually, the man was taken into custody by the Transportation Authority.
Yeah.
And late last week, he was formally arrested for the incident. He has been charged with entering an aircraft area, according to the Finger Lakes Daily News, which is a pretty specific crime.
Yeah.
Okay. So we gave you all the allegations. What we don't know, however, is why, if the allegations are true, he did what he did.
His motivation.
There was nothing about motive in the story. And there is also nothing in the story that says they found any weapons, a bomb, a note, any indication that he had bad intentions. It doesn't say that he resisted arrest when they took him into custody. Does anyone, 252-WCMF, 252-9263, want to take a shot if the allegations are true? What the hell happened here?
Do we have the age?
We do not have an age.
That would help.
Yeah, because the younger you're thinking like doing it just to see if he could get away with it.
Driving through a gate, smashing through the gate,
yeah, the
ramming
smashing
it?
through part is a little more intense.
Yeah, because it's not you're going to get caught.
Right.
Yeah, there's no way you're thinking you're getting out of it. So that takes you down the crazy trail,
Yeah.
right? If you're not doing it to put it online, to thinking it's funny.
Put it online. What
Well,
kind
no,
of...
I could see where he's going with that. Like somebody thinking they're going to get famous or go viral or
Right.
gain something out of it, I guess.
Like these
Okay.
idiots that climb buildings that do the same thing or go into
Yeah.
restricted areas that put it online.
Okay,
Yeah.
to your point, there was a guy that intentionally crashed a plane as an influencer and tried
Yeah.
to play
Yeah,
it
he
off.
jumps out of the plane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he tried to play it off like it was an accident,
Right.
and he was charged formally. Okay, I didn't look at that angle.
That's about the only, either that or you're just goddamn crazy.
Okay. Can I ask a question?
What?
What this man's accused of, is it something other people want to do?
No.
like drive.
Why
on a
would you
runway.
want to like play chicken with a jet?
Okay. If you go to our airport, the road along the runway there,
Yeah.
you will see people parked at the fence watching planes
Yeah.
take off and land.
Yeah, plane spotters.
Yeah, all day, every day,
Yeah.
there's always somebody there. Do they have a fantasy of taking their cars out on the runway?
I don't know.
But
'cause
what
it
does
is
that do
weird.
For you? What does driving on the runway do for you?
What is watching the planes land do?
Well,
for
I
you?
mean, I guess that you're seeing something cool coming in.
Well, how
you're
many
seeing
times
like
can
the
you do that?
actual.
Wait, say that again?
How many times can you do that?
Watch a plane
Like
take
some
off.
Yeah.
people go there all the time. You know, there's that famous place. I want to say it's St. Bart's in the Caribbean, where the planes come in solo. They fly literally onto the, almost like they're going to land on the beach.
Yeah.
And take out. And people go to the beach.
Yeah.
And stand there just to get hit by the jet wake.
Yeah,
Like that's fun for you.
I'm with you. But if people are
Pollution.
I mean,
yeah, who knows what you're sucking
No, you
in,
ain't
man.
kidding, but they do it all the time. It's just to feel the power of the jet. So do those people also want to go stand on a runway and let the plane fly like right over their heads, like
Right.
you're Tom Cruise?
See, now you call me an idiot, but now the theory's starting to work
thanks
on
a
your
lot,
head.
Tom. I mean, I guess if somebody's willing to go watch a train, why wouldn't they find a plane landing or taking
Well,
off
if you're watching a
fascinating?
train, you're probably working at Channel 8.
No, there was a story on hot air balloons at Letchworth this weekend, too.
Oh, okay.
Where I used to live, there were train tracks and went right by my
Train
apartment.
spotters,
And you used to see guys pull out those foldable chairs and watch trains go by.
But you
all
also
day.
see those guys walk up and down the tracks. Like they're on where the tracks are, where the train goes.
Yeah,
right?
they want to
I
be hit by a
guess.
train.
I don't know.
I mean, look, if you see a construction site, there are always guys watching, fantasizing about being on that site. I mean, driving your car into the airport, onto the runway, the taxiway would be a similar fantasy.
Okay.
Right? No.
Open her up on the old tarmac.
I don't
Part
know.
of it to see like how long you could get away with it for. Is there like a thrill of feeling like you're out running
Could
somebody?
be, but
So-
you're not. You're going to get nailed.
So your theory then, Kimmy, with this story, again, happened at the Buffalo airport back on May 20th. This man was just formally arrested. Police say he took his truck, rammed it through a gate through the airport multiple times, finally breached the property. The truck was, quote, seen driving through multiple secure parts of the airport, including the aircraft taxiways and the runway. He drove his truck on the runway. He was formally charged late last week, and we still don't have a motive. Also, does this make you feel a little uncomfortable about airport safety?
Yeah. I mean, considering everything I've been seeing lately, yeah.
Okay, I'm not criticizing the folks that work there.
Yeah.
And
No,
try
there's
to
a lot
take
of crazy
credit.
stuff going on at the airport.
I'm sure they did everything about to their.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can, yeah.
But like when it comes to places like airports, stadiums, government buildings, you just kind of assume there's a plan in place
Yeah.
if someone wants to go nuts.
Mhm.
And when that plan doesn't exist
Kick in.
or work out the way you thought it was,
Yeah.
that makes you a little nervous.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Especially if you're a nervous flyer to begin with.
Could you imagine looking out your window
No.
and seeing
No.
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 You would have to think in that moment that person works for the airport.
Yeah, he's
And
late
they-
to work.
yeah.
That guy's really
No.
late to work. Yeah, I would think that's part
Or
of the
like-
staff.
Or like they had access to something and now they're in trouble.
Yeah.
But if I'm taking off and I look out and I see a truck smashing the gate and
Yeah.
coming in, yeah, I'm crapping.
Okay, going back to something, Kimmy, I cut you off and went in the other direction. Your theory here is this man had a Grand Theft Auto-like fantasy where he
Well,
wanted to
that's-
get in and see how long he
See
could
how
Like
go.
a
long he
daredevil.
could, yeah. Because, I mean, I'm guessing once you're in there, there's no escaping. So it's just a matter of time before they catch you.
Well, you would just have to go out the way you came in.
I guess. But at
take
that
off.
point, they.
Yeah, there you go.
At that point, I'm guessing they're going to probably block the one way you got in.
Yeah, but we also kind of thought they'd get him really quick, and they didn't do that either, at least according to the story, if the allegations are true. Paul writes us on Instagram, Duffy on WCMF, the easiest way to get us on Instagram. My grandfather used to take me as a kid to watch the planes land and take off. It was probably boring as hell for him, but I loved it. My kids asked me to do the same thing when they were like 5 or 6. Never wanted to drive on the runway, though. So wait, that's your grandpa hiding behind you as a kid. He wanted to watch.
Oh,
I was
yeah,
going to say, your
for
grandpa's
sure.
having a great time.
He's just burning time.
Yeah, that's grandpa crack.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for all the things that you love to watch that are super boring,
Yeah.
I'm surprised you're not plane guy.
Or train guy.
Because you love to make up plane facts all the time. You have
Yeah.
said on this air that you believe you could fly a plane.
I think I'd make a good airman. Or a
Pilot.
good pullman.
I don't even know. No, I agree. Make a good Pullman. Isn't that what all your teachers said at boarding school?
Yeah, they said that I had good pullman skills.
Oh, yeah. They called him Captain Good.
You know what they always said about me?
What's that?
I got the job done.
Okay. Going back to the stuff that'll make you nervous.
Yeah.
Like we hear all the time about the stuff that's illegal that gets through TSA,
Mhm.
right? Doesn't get caught. The studies where
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
80, 90% of things get through. There was that toddler that breached the gate of the White House a few months ago. You remember that story?
Oh
Yep.
yes, that was
Squeeze through.
Yeah,
Kinda-
and he
kinda
was just
cute.
running
Yeah.
on the White House
Right.
lawn. Like these places are big and impenetrable in your mind, and then all of a sudden when they're not,
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like you're going to get caught. It's just a matter of how much time you have to do whatever it is you intend to
What are you
do.
trying to? What are you willing to risk?
But what are you trying to accomplish
Yeah.
for that risk, right? Because, like, we're a risk versus reward show. Now, there is not a reward here in this story if the allegations are true,
No.
where the risk would be worth it. But in his mind, there had to be
Yeah.
for him to do this if he did. What kind of long-term consequences come with the alleged actions of this man ramming his truck through the gate and
Well,
driving
doesn't-
around the
The dude.
Banned for life.
Does it wipe out your ability to fly forever?
Would
I
think
hope so. I think you're done with airports.
So
Yeah.
you would be comfortable if he
Banned.
was not allowed on airport property ever
I
again?
would
Any
only be
airport.
comfortable.
If he was completely banned from airports, yeah.
Okay. Because that would really alter your life. Let's say this is a 30-year-old guy. Can never get on a plane again for
I'm
the rest
fine
of
with
your
that. That's really good.
Is there a limit to how long you could be on the no-fly list?
Why would there be?
Well, I don't know. I mean, like,
I know you can be taken off it, but
Are there people that have been put on a no-fly list and they're never allowed to fly again for the rest of their lives?
There's got to be.
How long has the no-fly list existed? Was it a 9/11 thing?
I think so. Yeah, probably.
Okay, so that would mean the maximum would be 20
something years.
There is no limit on how long someone can remain on the no-fly list.
So they could, in theory, put someone on that list forever.
Well, yeah, and for good reason.
Well, no,
man.
I mean, I don't know. Like maybe this guy, like if it was a crazy thing, he gets help. You know?
can appeal it, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, like when you go in front of the appeals court thing.
Who do you appeal to, though? Is it like a court of airplane?
It says, okay,
Supreme Court of Aviation.
The government has established a traveler redress inquiry program, TRIP it's called, for individuals to challenge.
You had to make it a long, complicated thing so you could call it TRIP.
Yeah.
I hate when politicians do that. The bill is called the Chippy. Nope, that's not going to work.
It says individuals can challenge their placement on the list.
Okay. Do I get to keep doing that over and over again until I'm back on?
I don't know.
So you probably run out of appeals, don't you?
I don't know. Again, we didn't even know this existed 10 seconds ago.
True.
Let me explain how this thing I never thought about works.
But I'm guessing heinous, you're done.
But
you pull heinous, you're out.
Could you argue this is heinous?
It could have been. They caught it. To me, that just shows you're nuts. You don't belong anywhere near an airport.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
So let's say this man accused of ramming his truck through the fence at the Buffalo airport, driving around, If this was a coworker, and they came back to work the next week, would you ask them about what happened?
Oh, yeah.
Just acquaintances.
Yeah.
All right, for example, let's say this is TJ from the country station story, right? I mean, you know her, you don't know her well.
Yeah, we just we say hello.
She comes back to work Monday. You would go out of your way to ask her what.
You never pop your head down there.
Well, it's funny because, I go upstairs and do my laps in the morning now. I see her every day now.
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd have to ask her.
Hey, how was your weekend? What if she says, great, nothing special.
No, I'm going to say I saw it on TV, man.
Are you sure?
Yeah. It's TJ.
I don't think you'd have the balls.
I don't think
I
so
would.
either.
Okay.
It's TJ.
Do you want the answer? Are you sure you want the answer from her?
Oh, I want the answer.
Oh, you definitely want to know.
Give me the cup of crazy.
Well, but there could be an answer that you were not prepared for.
Yeah, but still got to know, though. You'd say, I don't want it to remain a mystery.
Okay. But
I mean, she's kind of like an everyday mom.
Yeah.
And then she went crazy.
And then what if she's like, yeah, I know what they're putting in the jet engines when they fly over us, and I had to get in there and
Don't
sign.
you-
Now you know that.
Yeah, but don't you want to know what kind of crazy you're dealing
Yeah.
with?
If it doesn't hurt me, no.
Yeah, you're down there all the time.
Yeah.
You go down to every day. You say hi to the guys down at the country station.
Guys and gals, yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, gals doing country too. So you wouldn't bring it up? You go down there all the time. You talk crap.
No, I'd wait for her to bring it up first. If she didn't bring it up, I wouldn't bring it up. If she's not bringing it up, there's
Would
a
you make a
reason.
joke?
No.
Oh, Mr. Jokey boy.
If it's you, if it's Moose, like guys I came up with, I've known you guys. I've known you 25 years, Moose 20 years. Like, yeah, Kimmy, yes, I work with her on a daily basis. I'm not making jokes about that. Like that's past the line of joke. Because what if you make a joke and she's like, that's not funny. She's the guy from Sling Blade. For
Kimmy does not know what you're talking
She
about.
knows Sling Blade.
I do. I've never seen it.
Oh, okay.
Friends Forever Turd.
It's a great movie.
We
Very
only
dark.
do
So I hear.
the most topical movie jokes.
TJs and Sling Blades.
All right, let's take a break.
Yeah.
This actually is the perfect transition.
Why was that?
Because if you want to fly now, at least we think, I don't know, they keep changing everything. You're supposed to have your enhanced, or your real ID, not enhanced ID,
Right.
real ID if you don't have a passport. And that has become a problem for a lot of people who did not get this done, but are still trying to get on planes. And it turns out some folks think they found a workaround.
Oh.
They haven't. And I thought this headline was a joke. We always say, read the story first.
Yeah.
Apparently it's not.
Oh.
This is how easily influenced and gullible some people are, trying to use this kind of identification.
It doesn't make any sense.
Did you see the story?
Yeah, I pointed it out to Kimmy this morning.
We'll get into it next here in the break room. Let's see WCMF. You don't want to believe people are this gullible. And you see this headline and you hope it's overblown.
Okay.
But there are stories of people thinking they had either beaten the system or taken care of what they had to, using this identification to try to get on airplanes right now. You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock, 96.5, WCMF, just after 9 o'clock. There are some things you never forget.
Okay.
And I don't mean like major life moments. I mean things that out of nowhere from your childhood pop into your head that you will have there for the rest of your life.
Okay.
At least I thought everybody had that. Because a chance acquaintance with a man that I have not seen in 30 years had me describing something to my wife that she thinks I'm a weirdo for remembering.
Oh.
We'll get into all of it just after 9 o'clock here in the break room on CMF. So I don't know, they keep changing things. Right now, to get on a plane in America, you need to have your real ID.
Yeah.
And they've been saying, by the way, that real ID, they put the idea into plan just after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
It only officially became a thing 2-3 weeks ago. So the real ID, if you've never seen one before, I believe it has a little star in the corner.
It's got some stuff on it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you got to look for the stuff.
Little stuff.
Got to look for the
Just
stuff.
slightly different than your regular ID.
And there are people that have been going to airports unaware that they are not allowed to board planes because they don't have this identification.
Right. If you don't have you had to have a passport then.
Yes, without the passport or the real ID.
Yeah.
So, over the weekend, the TSA put out a tweet. Excuse me, it was on Wednesday. The tweet from the TSA, damn it, I just had it in front of me and I blew it. Long story short, they told people you cannot use your Costco. I got it right here. Ready?
Yeah.
Sorry. We love hot dogs and rotisserie chickens as much as the next person, but please stop telling people their Costco cards counts as a real ID because it absolutely does not.
So people are going with their Costco membership card, which is not enhanced, only at Costco. I'm thinking that gets them on a plane because it has their photo on it.
It doesn't even. Yeah, it does, and it's got a star.
Oh.
Apparently, that is the confusion. So I thought this was a joke.
Yeah, you got to be really dumb.
There are apparently stories of people confirmed that tried to use their Costco card.
I wonder why Costco in particular, because like, if you're that dumb, you think you'd use any like membership card you have in your wallet, right?
I don't know if it's the gold.
My shoppers club.
I mean, maybe people try to do that too. I don't know if it's the gold star on the card.
Oh.
There are also people online that are like writing in like message boards and things that you can use your Costco membership. I don't know if they're being dicks and just trolling people.
Yeah.
I don't know if they actually believe this, but there are people that are using their Costco cards to try and get on a plane. People
so
aren't.
is it just? I was wondering too. I'm sorry, I was on the phone.
You're fine.
So I didn't know if you brought this up yet. Are they bringing multiple points of ID, thinking like, if I can prove,
this
things you would
me?
take to like the DMV.
Okay.
To if you lose a piece of your identity, I
get what you're saying.
Why you would need it, but
I
know that there are certain things where you have to bring like 3 points of identification.
And you think the Costco would be
and
one, and
maybe
you're trying
somebody
to get on.
like thinks like the Costco because it has my picture on it would count.
Okay, look, that would make more sense.
My picture and name. Yeah.
It's still dumb.
Yes.
Because can you use your Costco membership as a point of ID for the DMV?
I doubt it.
I wouldn't think so, but
Right?
you can
It's
use
not
a
an official
utility
document.
bill,
It's not a
right?
government document.
No. But a utility bill is not a government document either.
True.
I mean, that comes from a
So I
business.
don't know.
I mean, it's utility, but it's still, I don't know.
I wouldn't think so, but
Can you Google if you can use your Costco ID as one of the points of identification?
Yeah, how far can I get with my Costco card?
I mean, maybe is there something that goes on with Costco and the background checks they do where they're trusted more than other like
TSA?
Well, I mean, no, they're obviously not trusted at TSA, but I don't know how. To your point, where can I go with my Costco membership?
I just
card?
like bulk shopping. Can I get on this plane? I got too much mayonnaise in my house.
Snacks for everybody if you let me on this plane right now. 252 WCMF. After what we assumed was a joke tweet from the TSA last week, telling people they can't use their Costco card as a real ID, it turns out people have actually tried to do this, and there are folks online that are writing, you can use your Costco card to get on a plane, which you can't. All right, Kimmy, do we have any information on how far my Costco membership card will get?
I'm gonna make a conclusion. No.
Okay, none. Zero.
I don't think it counts as any point of identification.
All right, 252 WCMF. Let's talk to Talon. Hey, Talon, what's up, buddy?
Hey, good morning. How's everybody doing?
Good, Talon. What do you got?
Hey, man. This real ID thing is the stupidest thing on the planet. I mean, if you have your birth certificate, your driver's license, your your social security card, your passport, there is no reason to have a real ID. You've got every base covered. And as far as this Costco thing is concerned, the only thing that Costco proves is that you are a Costco customer, and that's it. It is.
Yeah, but I mean, I would trust a Costco customer to fly over a BJ's customer. I'll say that. Costco seems a little higher brow.
Oh.
You got a point there.
I have
it's a better
gold.
class of customer. I'll give you that.
Thank you. I mean, Tal, look, I get what you're saying. Where if you have all these points of ID, it's fine. But I'm also thinking like. Which one is easily? I
guess if you have your passport, you're fine.
Yeah, passport is good. Well, can you answer that for God's sakes, Talon?
Were you at a casino?
Yeah, I gotta let you go, guys. I'll talk to you.
Hi, Talon.
It's like I gotta go.
No, because there was a time.
There was a time.
Thank you, where you could bring like multiple points of ID to get on a plane.
So it used to be like your birth certificate. Like for a little kid,
Yeah.
like to go, let's say your parents wanted to take you to the Bahamas. All that kid needed was a birth certificate.
Same to cross the border into Canada.
Right, but that was years ago.
Because, it does get you're increasing the odds that people are losing these official government documents that are very valuable.
But it's better to boil it down to just one thing than I got to show up with 5 documents to prove it's me.
I would agree.
Now
with
I
you.
just need this license.
Not to mention, I guess the argument can be made, and I don't know how true this is, that a birth certificate or a social security card is much easily you can forge that easier
Yeah.
than a real ID. But then again, just give it a little while and
Yeah.
fix that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are people selling passports all over the place.
Sure.
I also went down a rabbit hole this weekend of countries where you can get passports easy.
Oh, like sketchy country?
Not so much sketchy, just the countries that want people to be citizens of their country.
Oh, they'll just give it to you? They don't really
Yeah, how
care?
would that
Well,
work?
they
got to be pretty busted.
Wait, do you have to be a citizen first, though?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like, my daughters can get Jamaican citizenship.
Okay.
They'd have to get the citizenship before they get the.
Passport comes with citizenship.
Oh.
So because their grandfather was born in Jamaica, my wife and daughters could automatically get Jamaican citizenship. I missed it in Ireland. Even Ireland, it's got grandparent citizenship.
So you could go get it?
I can't. I missed it by one generation.
Damn it.
I would like to have the Ireland passport.
Even though you don't want to go.
Well, I mean, if I got it, I would have to go. I would have to go pick it up.
You know, you can go anyway.
I know.
Well,
you
yeah,
could just go.
I mean, you wouldn't feel a little like more
Connected
to your roots? Yes, thank you, Kimmy. With an Italian passport,
I guess. But
it wouldn't be cool to just have in your hand.
who would I show it to that would be impressed?
The guy at TSA.
He could care less.
You don't even speak Italian, so you
No.
have nothing going for you there.
Okay, Kimmy, you're a mutt though, right? You're 15 different things.
I mean, I'm half Italian. The rest of it, I don't really know.
Okay, would you want an Italian passport?
No. Again, I would feel like such a phony.
What about from Flatistan,
No.
from the Eastern Bloc?
You tried.
Ooh. You know I heard him too because you do the voice.
It was
But you
pretty
wouldn't
good.
feel weird, if all of a sudden they started speaking Italian and you were like, I don't speak it. I don't
Oh,
know. I
no,
just
no,
got
Rome.
this passport because I could.
I don't speak no Sicilian.
I don't know, man. What, I got a southern accent now? You know, I got an Italian passport? I don't know. I'll be honest
I
with
almost
you.
feel like that would be annoying to them.
Well, I'm not gonna throw it around, walk around Ireland, check out my Irish
Yeah,
passport.
but people would.
Yeah, you're right.
You know.
So you know,
we would find that as an opportunity to be very obnoxious.
I know that there's certain people that have dual citizenship, legit.
Yeah.
And my brother always wanted it, but he just wanted to do it to just brag.
I get it.
But I'm not impressed.
But that's what we're talking about here. The passport would give
You
you
gonna
dual
stand up for
citizenship.
your own country? What are you, Two-Face?
I love America.
Do you?
Yes.
Do you trotting off to Dublin?
Well, yeah, I could do that too. It would make going back and forth easier again.
What if we go to war?
with
Ireland?
Ooh,
U.S.
that's a good question.
What do you stand for?
Well, I mean, I'm from America.
Yeah, but what about your
Born in
Irish buddies over there?
Wait, what are you talking? Why would we go to war with Ireland? And how long would that war last?
It wouldn't be that long.
No, I'm saying it would be a decision I'd have to make for 3 hours. No, I mean, I don't know. You bring up a good question. During World Wars, when you had people with dual citizenships,
Yeah.
I mean, we know how it worked for the Japanese.
Yeah.
Not great. What about everybody else?
So, my parents, my dad was Sicilian, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I guess you just kept your mouth shut.
Well, your dad was in the service.
He was in
As
the
a
service.
Sicilian, how far, when did his family come over? What generation was he American?
So they came over right at the turn of the century, 19.
So was he a first generation? Was he the first
yeah.
member of his family born in America?
Mhm.
So he had Italian grandparents
Yeah,
during a World War
yeah.
where we were fighting against Italy.
So I'll tell you a story. So my uncle was an FBI agent. My uncle Don was Italian on both sides.
Your Uncle Dom was.
Oh, yeah, imagine
Yeah,
that.
no kidding.
So he goes into the FBI, and they're running a background check. And this is during the Red Scare. They they brought him into the office before he got he was going to pass out of the academy, and they had questioned him because his father used to read Italian newspapers that came from overseas. And, there was a lot of communist writings in those newspapers.
Sure.
How did they know all this? They went through his mail.
Wow.
So the FBI went to his father's house and was going through his mail to look at what he was reading. My uncle didn't know any of this. Then they brought him in and even laid out all the stuff his father had been reading.
Wait, they took it?
Well, they knew of it.
Gotcha,
so,
okay.
yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Man.
But he got in.
Okay, so he did all the work and he still let him in?
Yeah. But, he was, shocked. But then he was like, I get to do this now.
Man.
Now I can go through people's mail.
Elijah writes us on Twitter. He says, fun fact. This is not such a fun fact. Cobb's Hill used to be a POW camp for Italian prisoners pre-1945. I've heard that. Is that true?
I don't know. So my grandpa told me.
Wait.
Is that? Can I?
Wait, so we captured Italian.
And brought him here. Yeah,
I think it was
we drove them all the way
Italian.
here. And then we drove them all the way to Rochester?
There were POW camps across America. There are some Midwestern states where German POWs, they never left America, and there's a big German population.
Oh.
And that's where they were.
Okay.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Can I ask a stupid question?
What's that?
The DNC did a story about it a couple years ago.
Is that why we have such a high? That's not why we have such a high.
It could be.
Did they? Oh.
I don't forget, the Italians lost pretty quick that war. I mean, they fell pretty fast. So
it's longer than you think, man.
Not very long, bro.
No, it's when Mussolini got to do what he wanted to.
As soon as we got there, they gave up. I mean, they're not known for their fighting forces since the Roman Empire.
Talk about Rocky, buddy. Let's talk about Rocky.
Okay, and maybe individually if you owe them money.
Let's take a break. It's funny as we're having this discussion. There are these little things. You will never forget that story about your uncle. It's an amazing story, right? But that's important.
Mm-hmm.
There are other non-important things that stick in your brain forever and ever and ever and ever, and you don't know why you remember them. You can't remember other things that are far more important. I kind of thought everybody did this. But after an interaction I had in front of my wife and me describing this to her after, I think she thinks I'm a psychopath.
Oh.
And I'm hoping that there are other people like me and not more like my wife.
All right.
We'll get into the story next here in the break room on CMF. There are important things you need to remember.
Okay.
From where your car keys are to important details involving your family, your job, your own health.
Sure.
But as you get older, you have a harder time remembering those things.
Yeah, it slips away.
Yeah. Instead, our brains are filled with stuff like this.
Yeah, what'd you find?
Well, at least I hope everyone's like this. And I'm not some giant weirdo that I believe my wife thinks I am. You're hanging out in the break room. Rochester's Classic Rock, 96.5, WCMF. We'll jump right into it. Over the weekend, I was out with my family. And as I'm walking through crowds of people who are all ignoring me, I recognize a face. And I just see a face in a face.
Okay.
Because this is a face I have not seen in 30 years. I realize it is my elementary school music teacher.
Oh, wow.
Mr. Gaspar.
Oh, my God. You recognized him?
He looks exactly the same. Guy looks
Music
great.
teacher.
My music teacher from elementary school, Mr. Gaspar.
Right.
And there is a reason why I remember him, which I will get to in a second. So I go up, and it's been so long, I have to say hello.
Okay.
And I say hello, and it looks like he saw a ghost. He's looking at me, right? I was, fat little kid as now wrinkly older man. Introduced him to my family. My wife was just as surprised that I recognized him, but I did recognize him because when I was in 5th grade, our class put on a musical that he wrote.
He wrote it?
He wrote the musical. And, he did not write it for 5th graders.
Okay.
This was a musical that he wrote to, be an actual musical.
Oh.
And he tailored it, changed it so we could put it on. I was the lead in this musical.
Wait, he wrote Failures?
And he personally selected you to be the lead.
Yes,
did
we
you
had to
try
Little
out for it?
fat failure.
We had to audition, and me and my best buddy Phil.
I see the potential in you, kid.
Well, look how wrong he was. Me and my best buddy Phil were the leads in this musical.
All right.
So the musical was called Town in a Trance, and it was a story of vampires who turned townspeople into zombies using television.
Okay.
Okay, that's a deep one.
And there were 10 songs we all had to learn. The play was 90 minutes long.
Wow.
Okay. So as I'm explaining all of this to my wife on the ride home, I start singing the songs from the musical.
Oh.
Yeah.
Songs I haven't sung in 30 years. I have not thought about this in 30 years. And I realized in this car ride, if I needed to, I could do the whole damn play that I have not thought about since 5th grade right now.
So it says you were singing vampire songs?
Yeah. Town in a trance, don't stay outdoors, you're taking a chance. Danger is lurking round every bend. Our town is cursed, beware, my friend. Do.
Okay.
On the hill there is a castle set amidst. I can do the whole damn thing. All 10 songs right now. And as I am singing this to my wife, because you're full of crap, and I start doing the musical, and the look on her face, I realize she thinks I'm a total psycho.
Right.
And I start arguing with her in the car. Everyone has something like this from their childhood. And she goes, no, something's wrong with you.
Well, as you age, when your memory starts to go, a lot of it's short term. The old stuff you'll remember.
Okay.
Because when my mother started going down that dimension, she could tell you stuff about growing up on a farm, but she couldn't tell you what you had for lunch.
Okay, I get that there are personal stories.
But I think as you age, that kind of happens. You hold on to those old stories because they've been sitting in your head for so long.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if my wife has
They're in bed. Well, I'm sure she does.
No, because I was you have to remember some of this stuff. She could not.
But you'd probably been, it wasn't, you got triggered.
Well,
by seeing this guy.
All you would have to do is be hey, remember that play you were in? Or I saw you, and I could do the whole thing right now. Okay. 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Am I right that everyone has something like this in their brain?
Especially if they put it in a song. Oh, yeah. That'll stick with you forever.
I mean, what is the thing that sticks in your head that does not need to be there other than everything that comes out of your mouth?
I'm always amazed. I remember addresses of houses we lived in from years ago.
So your childhood home, you remember the address?
Yeah.
In Jersey?
Yeah, the one in Jersey and the one in Florida.
Do you remember your parents' phone number from back in the day?
No, I'm not good with numbers like that.
Not even the one you grew up with. You would have had to tell people this is my phone number.
Yeah, I was terrible with numbers.
Okay. Do you remember your parents' phone number?
Yep, and all my friends' home phone numbers. Probably from 1st grade to about at the end of high school, really.
No, to your point, this girl I dated as a sophomore in high school, I could call her parents' house right now if they still live there.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Well, no, but I thought everybody had that.
Yeah.
Maybe they do.
Nothing? 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Here is my question.
Yeah.
You don't need it. You never use it. But what is stuck in your brain forever from childhood? And I get that the most common would be songs, theme songs from TV shows, movie lines. Let's pass on those. I'm talking more personal, something very few other people would ever understand.
I mean, like I said, if it was a song, I remember it. I remember we sang It was like this African song where we all like did this dance, and I specifically remember exactly when the song when the the teacher stopped playing the piano, slammed on the piano, and told this one kid who was acting up, he's not the cutest thing since sliced bread.
By the way, sliced bread cute?
I don't know.
Can you still sing the song?
It was like, I think this is how it went.
Okay.
Funga lafia, ashe. And you just kept repeating that as you sang it in a circle.
So if it kept going, it would sound like...
Funga lafia, ashe.
All right.
But I'm not done listening to the song.
No, it's just that over and over again.
So I'm surprised you remember the guy's name.
Mr. Gaspar.
Like if I ran into an old teacher, I would have a hard time remembering even their name.
So I was explaining to my wife, the reason I remember this guy so well is like this started off as like the whole 5th grade class was going to put on this play, and like during music class during the day, we would practice. And then like as it got closer, like, it's his play. So he was like a perfectionist about it. It just kept consuming more of the day until like 2 weeks before we just stopped going to class.
And you were just doing a play.
Yes, at Washington Elementary School, we were just practicing for this play. So I spent a ton of time with this guy working through this play that he wrote. So, like, yeah, man, like, he may be one of the most influential men in my life that I completely forgot about until I saw his face.
So I remember when I was on the road, I'm in Atlanta, and I decided to go back to my old military school.
Okay.
And I still remembered the road that led into it. And I still remembered a couple of the teachers. So this is back when you could still just drive on a campus and just start asking questions.
Pardon me, boys.
Hello, boys.
You look great in your uniform, gentlemen.
Yeah, I used to play around these parts.
Hey, maybe your uniform will fit me now.
But I was amazed I could still remember the guys' names that I was looking for.
See, that's why I thought everyone remembered every teacher.
But these are the guys I got in a massive amount of trouble with, too.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
But that makes sense. That was you were impacted by these people so severely.
Yeah.
Physically and mentally.
Yeah.
252 WCMF. I ran into my my elementary school music teacher, 5th grade, Mr. Gaspar. Haven't seen him in 30 years.
Yeah.
Saw the guy, and he had a big effect on me because he wrote a musical that we as a 5th grade class put on. And I was telling my wife, I could do the whole play for you right now. That's how much time we worked on this. And she thought I was crazy. And I was like, no, everyone's like this. And she's like, no, you're a psychopath.
They need to start teaching us songs that are that will actually like help us later in life. Like things that
your credit score should be over 600. Here's how you do it.
Because that's the only thing that really sticks in your brain that you remember, and you could pull it out at any time and have it be useful.
You're right. But like, why does this happen? What about the human brain allows it? Like you said, most people, Tommy, have a hard time remembering very important things on a daily basis. You lose your phone, you lose your keys. God forbid you have to tell someone your wife or kid's birthday now.
Yeah.
You look like the worst husband, the worst parent. But while you're doing that and can't remember, you have the Erie Canal song you learned in 3rd grade going off in your head, which Kimmy and I can also fully do.
Yep.
And we've proved several times.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't make us do it again.
I've got a mule, her name is Sal, 15 miles down the Erie Canal. Sorry.
But
she's a good old neighbor and a good old pal, 15 miles down the Erie Canal.
So I was saying,
What?
No. So
we pulled some barges in our day. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
So when I went to that Christian school, the last school I went to, I used to have to pledge allegiance to the flag every morning. And then you had to go outside, they raise it up on a pole. And then they put out, and maybe you didn't know, there's a Christian flag.
Oh.
So they would also raise the Christian flag, and you would have to pledge allegiance to the Christian flag under its own saying, and you had to do that every day, and I couldn't tell you a word of that.
So you can't do that right now?
No, and every day for the 2.5 years I went to that school, every morning you had to get out there and do that. That's how you started the day at this academy, and I cannot remember a word of it.
No kidding.
I mean, it's similar into the, Pledge of Allegiance, but it's sort of a lot more Jesus and God, don't touch yourself.
That was in the pledge?
Kinda.
I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag, and I will never touch my genitals.
Yeah. Yes.
It's funny. How with all of the advancements in medical science over the last 50 years, have we not figured out why this happens?
Why?
Because they don't know the brain.
But that's
what's it maybe between certain ages where it sticks more than other times in your life?
Like when your brain is developing?
Yeah.
Like, are those things? I guess my question is, like, the musical I could do right now, the Erie Canal song or Bomb on the Way, or like the road you just knew to turn on in Atlanta. Are those things taking up space we could be using to remember new stuff?
Yeah, you're sold out.
Is it like a hard drive?
It's like a warehouse.
Well, you don't know that, though. We don't know that.
True.
Right? Like, I would love...
But you'd have to add more brain.
Well,
like a hard drive, you can add to a hard drive. You can't add more matter to your brain, so it gets cramped.
What I'm getting at is, like, with all due respect to Mr. Gaspar and his wonderful Town in a Trance performance that he wrote, I would be happy to wipe that out of my brain.
Oh, sure.
If I could, like, clean that part of the hard drive, if I could remember new, more modern, important stuff.
True. Yeah.
Like what my insurance number is off the top of my head, which I still don't know.
Yeah.
Yes. But so you're thinking they should try to work on that?
No, I'm asking.
Maybe
like,
they are.
Yeah, I guess maybe giving people the ability to wipe people's brains is a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's the Kennedy family.
It could also be, too, just stuff as a kid that you found entertaining that stuck with you. I mean, think of how many theme songs you know off the top of your head, or TV episodes that you could recite almost word for word, movies you can recite almost word for word. It's just that's what you were focused on. That's what you did for fun.
But it does nothing for us.
No, it does not.
It does nothing for us.
It's being good at things that don't matter.
Well, before we get back to that, which, by the way, should be the name of this show, 252-WCMF, 252-9263. Alicia writes us on Instagram, Duffy on WCMF, the easiest way to get us. The worst earworm from math following the roots of the quadratic formula. X equals negative b plus or minus square root b minus 4ac all over 2a goes to Pop Goes the Weasel. And I'd sing it, but I don't understand the word I just said.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Quadratic.
So somebody
formula.
made a song out of it, and you could... Yeah, that's true, too.
X
Like, even
equals
if you
negative
can,
b plus or minus square root b root minus 4ac all over 2a. I think I did it.
Yeah.
What's it called? Quadratic?
Quadratic formula. I don't remember.
I think that means you can't walk.
No, but like the fact that we both are staring at each other.
I don't know what you said.
That was probably taught to us.
Yeah, it probably
There's a
was.
million
But
things that they tried.
That's my point. I'm singing Town in a Trance. I don't know what the hell Alicia's talking about.
you know what else I wonder, too? Remember, did you have Game 24?
Yeah. 2 times 2, 2 times 6.
I can add things up to 24, no problem. Any other number, though, you're on your own.
I will divide and add by 6, 12, and 24 only because So this game, Tommy.
Yeah.
It was a card, and there was like tournaments that like elementary schools would play in.
Stay after school to play Game 24.
So it was like you put down a card and it had 4 numbers on it, like 2, 6, 3, and you would have to multiply or divide to get to the number
Add,
24.
subtract,
Oh.
yeah.
And like when you got it in your head, you tap the center of the card. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da-da, and then you were the winner.
I couldn't do that crap.
Dan Lee, 24 champion out of my elementary school.
Wow.
Washington River Elementary.
Look at that.
Why are you making that face?
I could not do that.
No, I know. I wasn't good at it either, but it still stuck.
Yeah.
It did. It stuck.
All right, so you brought up like our shared experiences. I mean, Kimmy, for most men, outside of the theme songs and the movie stuff, the shared experience were sports names of players and stats when you were a kid. And I say most men, so Tommy can just sit here for a second. Outside of the movies and the theme songs from the shows, which is a shared man and woman, what is the female specific, I remember all of this from childhood? Is it like boy band facts?
Oh, yeah, probably. Any kind of like pop culture stuff.
Can you hit me with a Chad Michael Murray fact? I would not know.
I wasn't a big Chad Michael Murray person.
Didn't make the cut.
Who was your guy?
I mean, I'm trying to think.
Grimace from McDonald's.
I'm trying to think of who would have been the big no,
Apparently nobody
I'm
had that
blanking.
much of an impact on you.
I'm totally blanking. I feel like there's somebody obvious I'm missing.
Okay, it's
but
okay.
My brain, my mind has been wiped clean.
It's fine. It's
from
a lot
Game
of
24.
It's a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. I vividly remember in 7th grade math, the girl that sat in front of me was during the Latin explosion. So Ricky Martin was very popular.
Oh, okay.
And on her binder, she had just written personal facts about Ricky Martin
Oh, okay.
on the front and back.
Yeah.
And if that girl is still alive today,
You think she still got it?
I mean, you would have to know that
She's
stuff.
been Martinized?
Yeah, I mean, if you're staring at it every day,
Okay.
writing
I
it
mean,
down.
boy
And you're
bands
into
in
it, too.
general, like you knew who was in which band, and you never made any of those mistakes. Like you were either like an NSYNC person, you were a Backstreet Boys person, or like for like the offbeat people, 98 Degrees.
By the way, I always preferred 98 Degrees.
Oh, okay.
It's the hardest thing I'll ever.
Is that Nick?
Nick Lachey.
Nicholson,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and his
yeah.
brother.
Good kid. No big deal.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, say what you want to say. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You're
Met
dying to
him,
tell
no big
us.
deal.
Oh, you met him.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no big deal.
Where'd you meet him?
At the show.
15 miles down there. Get out.
Joe T got to tattoo him.
At the show. You said at the show. So you went to a 98-degree show?
No.
Hey, everybody.
He came on our show.
I understand.
He wanted to meet us.
No, he didn't.
He had heard about it.
He had no idea.
He wanted a free tattoo.
252
He was going bad.
Again, we're talking about the stuff you can't help but remember. You shouldn't have it. I could do a whole musical. I realized it after I met the man who wrote that musical that had us perform it in 5th grade. Lead, but again, no big deal.
Okay.
Lead.
I am amazed that I know obscure hockey facts from back in the day because I hung out with a kid that was a big hockey fan.
There you go.
And that had served me no purpose but to torture you.
Well, and that's just it. Like, you'll try and throw them out. Like, well, I mean, you can use.
Derek Sanderson was the highest paid athlete at one point. He was so rich, on his way to the rink, he stopped off and bought a Rolls Royce just to see if the money was real.
Wow.
And now he regrets it because he's homeless.
Well, yeah, man. Even if you're not homeless, you probably
Keith
want.
Magnuson, on the off season, worked for the PepsiCo Corporation, and he was a hell of a defenseman.
See, but here's the thing: if you're hanging in a room full of hockey guys,
Yeah,
you can, as long as
Yeah.
they don't ask any follow-up
just no
questions.
follow-ups. No follow-ups.
Change the subject
Yeah.
really quick. 252 WCMF. Let's talk to Ben. Hey, Ben, how are you, buddy?
Pretty good. How are you guys doing?
Good to hear from you, buddy.
So my useless thing that I know, I never took any kind of French. I still know by heart Frere Jacques.
Okay, that's not a hard one, Ben.
that's-
The song?
Yeah.
Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques.
Don't call again. Don't call again. Your call sucks. Please don't call again. Tie up your tongue
Tommy,
on my
how's
bung.
your comedy career going there, buddy?
Oh, Ben, what are you doing? What are you doing, Ben?
What? He makes fun of me, I make fun of him. That's how it
Just
goes.
bring
Touch
something.
my bung.
All right, but Ben, that's it. There's nothing like little like rhymes or something from elementary school that's just there. You're never gonna. Well, you were homeschooled though, right?
I was bold.
Okay. Like I
Well, you got kicked out of your home?
in all sincerity,
I got suspended from my mom.
in all sincerity, I wonder, Kimmy, if being in a room full of people
Yeah.
doing the same thing
Yeah.
helps enforce it in your
Well,
brain.
yeah,
I
it's
think
repetitive.
so. Yeah.
Also, there's random car facts that I know that serve me no purpose to this day.
Okay. All right. Well, Ben, thanks for the call, buddy. Have a good rest of the day. Hey, how's your comedy career going?
Zing.
A lot of bottles over there. It's a bottle factory. Something to keep in mind
What was that?
as we wrap up this discussion.
What was it?
If you are raising kids right now, they are currently creating all of these memories
Oh, sure.
that will never go away. And
Yeah.
you need to be aware of that because some throwaway line that you tell them on a day that you're frustrated, busy, impatient, that may be one of those things that for whatever reason is burned in their brain.
Yeah, but
forever.
you'll never figure that out till it's too late.
Well, that's
You're
just-
not even around anymore.
That's what I'm giving it. Yeah, here's a
Yeah.
heads up. If you got itty bitty babies, it is important that you do not know.
Teach them French now.
Oh, okay.
No, don't be that person. Did you s-
That's the one thing. Like, why didn't any of that stick? I would have loved to have like a second language stick,
I know what you mean. I'm with you 100%.
even if I could just understand it, not necessarily speak it.
I'd say the same for you, but you don't even know how to speak.
Frere Jacques.
You're doing the Sinatra version?
Baby,
Frere Jacques.
don't call the show again.
All right, let's take a break. You know, this song actually was so popular when it came out. I'm sure most people listening to this show right now, even though you're not a fan of this artist, can sing the chorus.
That big, huh?
Yeah, huge. Big for celebrating people being born.
Mhm.
Big wedding song.
Yeah.
And the artist who wrote this song, recorded this song, reminded people over the weekend what it's actually about,
Oh.
which is not good.
It's bad?
Well, look, I mean, there are some songs, man, that like
Well, some of the songs are just straight up creepy.
this would be one of them.
Oh, okay.
We'll get into it next here at the break room on CMF. you can forgive people for not understanding a song fully.
Yeah.
The lyrics of a song, because they're very personal, written by the artist, right?
Yeah.
Some are a little bit vague. Others, however, there's really no excuse. And one man over the weekend who has become a gajillionaire off of a single hit he has that has become very popular with lovers went out of his way to remind people what the song is actually about. You're hanging out in the break room, Rochester's Classic Rock 96.5, WCMF. Tommy, you remember James Blunt?
I know the name.
So he is a one-hit wonder, and his massive hit was the song "You're Beautiful."
You're beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
It's true.
Okay, let it sing. Let it breathe.
I saw your face.
Well, stop doing that.
Oh, wait, I forgot. People can't hear this if they're watching on the live stream.
I think you can if you're watching. I don't know. There's somewhere you can't hear
I'm just trying to help Kimmy.
You're not helping.
I would never be with you. Okay.
So what's wrong with the song?
It's a beautiful song, right?
Yeah. Is it creepy?
It's like the creepiest song ever. Quote James Blunt on TikTok over the weekend. 20 years ago today, I released a song that bought me this house. Whoever thought a song about being high as a kite on drugs and stalking someone else's girlfriend would resonate quite so much.
Oh.
Thank you. You guys are beautiful.
So he was high and stalking somebody else's
That's what the
chick.
song
The
was
song
about.
is about a
Yeah.
man on a subway who is high, sees a beautiful woman. It's someone else's girlfriend, and he stalks
And
her.
he gets real creepy.
You got it. So the song is a very popular wedding song.
Oh.
It's also a very popular, like, look at my beautiful new baby on
Yeah.
social media song. And folks maybe don't realize it's about a high stalker. Kind of a dick move, Kimmy, by James Blunt.
Yeah. I think you just let people,
How's there,
listen to it how they want it.
yeah, take it how you want it.
Yeah.
Okay, and look, there are some artists that refuse to discuss where their lyrics come from, which is
Yeah.
also funny because that gets frustrating.
Yeah.
Like, you want to know, well,
Yeah.
what were you thinking about when you wrote it? It's like, no, it's open to interpretation. No, you were thinking about
Oh,
something.
yeah, you're right. You wrote this, man, so tell me.
Okay, so what do you want then? You said this is a dick move by James Blunt, but
Oh,
you
no, I don't think it's that thing.
okay.
It didn't even sound that bad, to tell you the truth.
About
I
it.
mean, he's just checking out somebody else's woman, and he's high.
Yeah, but there are
But
people.
I guess the premise of it is not what people thought it was.
Okay, yeah,
I
it's
mean,
that-
they thought it was like more of
as
like a
it is said.
loving
Yeah.
song.
To this day, it plays at weddings all the time. And here's the thing.
That's why a lot of marriages end in failure. Pat.
Well, I've seen
James Blunt.
I've seen it for daddy-daughter dances too.
Yeah.
Which-
Like what?
Well, like,
Oh,
you know,
this?
yeah, you're beautiful,
Oh.
but I'm never gonna. You're
Yeah.
going off with this other man now. That's
Well-
why I think that's why country music has taken over at
Well,
weddings
but
because
even
it's so
still
straightforward.
Yeah.
Yeah, but some of the country, I remember like when I was getting married and my dad and I were trying to figure out a song, like there's always like a hint of like this could be maybe not for a dad and daughter. So we'd have to like rule out a lot of songs because we're like, that's kind of no.
Is there one
that
you
didn't sound
remember?
right.
Because he wanted "Whoop There It Is." Her dad. He looks like a guy who loves "Whoop There It
Yeah.
Is." Party people.
Breaking into the robot.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There were probably because he loves Ed Sheeran, which most of his songs are about like a romantic relationship, not a
yeah.
daddy-daughter situation.
too
So
erotic.
it was kind of one of those things where like, no, let's pick something more bass. I don't know.
You know what's funny is you go through the list of like the songs that you definitely don't understand what they mean. There's two right off the bat
Yeah.
that one from a semi-local band, the Google Dolls Slide. Do you remember that song? Yeah, gonna let it slide. How do anything you ever dreamed of?
What's wrong with that one?
So that song and Brick by Ben Folds 5, which was like their biggest hit, both about abortion.
What?
Really?
So Slide is about a kid from Buffalo, Johnny Resnick,
Yeah.
deciding whether or not he is going to marry a woman he knocked up or convince her to get an abortion.
That's a two.
That is a song, and it was a massive hit that people look at as a romantic song.
Did people know that at the time?
Apparently not. Brick is a song about Ben Folds. It's he wrote it about an experience he had. The day after Christmas, they found out she was pregnant. He drove her out of state to go get an abortion.
Wow. God damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's heavy.
Yeah.
But both of those
But
songs,
quite catchy.
both of them, yes, they're catchy. You can sing the words of these songs, and you had no idea.
So you got to go back to the old school way, like way back when it was just openly creepy men singing about schoolgirls and people like that. You know what I mean?
She's just 16 years old.
How about Good Morning Little Schoolgirl?
Yeah.
And that was sung by like an old blues artist.
Yeah, but again,
But they got away with it.
Well, because nobody was really, and here's the thing, it was kind of more socially acceptable back then, I guess.
Yeah, true.
She's 13, she can make a decision for herself. Third Eye Blind, you remember that band?
Oh, yeah.
Their biggest hit was Semi-Chime Kind of Life. Do, 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 do.
Very happy, upbeat.
Yeah, that's a song about a guy addicted to crystal meth.
Yeah.
Oh.
And how it's ruining his life.
And then when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, yeah, how did I miss that?
Yep. Yeah, in fact, there's a whole part of the song
on
that was on Semi-Chum Kind of Life that they had to cut out of the radio version because it was so explicitly about doing crystal meth and killing yourself.
Damn.
Yes.
It was weird because I remember being a kid and this was parent-friendly music.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't a
catchy.
song that came on where you were, like, embarrassed to listen to it in the car with your mom or dad.
100%. But here's the thing. To Tommy's point, this has been around forever.
Yeah.
So, for example, you guys know that I'm a diehard James Taylor fan.
Yeah.
Judge me all you want. I'm going to see him at the end of June. First time I'm going to see him live. Super excited. I told you I was afraid because every time I was supposed to go to these shows, something would come up.
Happens.
So I'm afraid he's going to die before then. So if James Taylor's listening, please don't die
Hold
before.
on.
Yes, June 30th. Thank you. Fire and Rain. I've seen fire and I've seen rain.
What's that about?
That's about his mental health and physical issues when he was battling his addiction to heroin.
Yeah, he was a junkie for a little while.
Yes.
I feel like there's probably a lot of songs about that.
Yeah.
Right? Battling a drug addiction
But that one kind of makes sense because it sounds like a struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have never thought in a million years.
I wouldn't think, heroin.
Is that what you say it like that? Heroin.
Yeah.
No, I mean, he was signed to, I believe he was the first artist ever signed to the Beatles' Apple Records label. And he blew it because of his heroin addiction.
Wait, you did too much drugs for the 1970s Beatles?
I don't know if the Beatles did heroin. I've never heard that story.
I thought Lennon went blind on some stuff for a little while.
It wasn't heroin, was it?
No, but he did something where he whited out his vision for a little bit.
Oh, that's why we got the White Album.
Yes.
Yeah. He thought that there was a gorilla on that album. No, turns out it was a White Album. 252 WCMF. Again, we're talking about James Blunt, the one hit he ever had that everyone could sing the words to if you were alive. You're beautiful.
You're beautiful.
And it's gone. We are having a great computer day today, everybody.
You're beautiful.
Over the weekend, the 20th anniversary of the song, he reminds everyone that the song was about a high stalker.
Is it him? Is he the guy doing the stalking?
Well,
Like,
he's
is it
the
something he
only
went
one
through?
in the music video, right? Like, I could picture the music video, and I think it's just him
Yeah.
in front of, like, a body of water or something. Is he walking on the... I don't know.
I don't remember the music video. I thought
can
it was
remember
a
him, like, I
subway?
think he's on, like, a boardwalk.
Okay.
Unless I'm thinking of a different song of his, but I think that's the only one.
Also, this song, not the radio edit, which everyone heard, multiple F-bombs in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like you're effing beautiful?
No, you could see by my face I was effing high.
Oh, all right. Wow.
Does it ruin it for you if you connected to one of these songs in a completely different way and then you find out what it's really about and you're like, oh, I don't feel like that?
Yeah, I think it does. Do you feel that way?
Like I try to think what tune that would be.
Well, you
like
don't
if
have
you
a
listen
soul.
to it like after a breakup, or if you fell in love with somebody and that song reminds you of that relationship, and then you find out it's about something horrible.
Oh, yeah, that might ruin it for you.
You don't have a soul. You don't know what to like.
Well, I'm just trying to wrap my head around something like I liked the tune. It reminded me of a girl I dated or something like that, and then it ruined it for me.
Well, like you don't connect with lyrics. You connect more with sound.
Yeah, so I like instrumental jazz.
Like if you found out that trombone was actually playing in a sad way instead of a happy way, like you're the only human being that can't relate to this discussion.
I like music played by guys from the 50s that were junkies.
Every song is about heroin.
This, all their wives died way before them, or the wife kills him at the club. True story.
But it's an instrumental.
Yeah.
How do you illustrate that through the?
I don't know. I don't even know why jazz tunes have titles.
Okay.
You could call it the next one.
I mean, like people are reminding us the most popular one probably had the misunderstood song has to be The Police, Every Breath You Take.
What was that one?
Every move you make.
So what's that about?
It's about a guy stalking another person.
Oh.
Yeah.
A lot of stalker situations here.
Well, a lot of lonely guys out there
That got,
driving around.
that got
girl
rich
watchers.
and famous.
Yeah.
Well, Kimmy, I guess now it
That
kind
one
of,
seemed obvious.
but it kind of makes more sense. Like all of these musicians getting in trouble 30 years later.
Yeah, they all
right?
went bad.
Hey, it was
Yeah.
right there in front of us the whole time.
Or they age poorly.
Yeah.
Look at poor Rod Stewart right now, struggling.
So for those who don't know the story, and I think this needs to be said, Rod Stewart signed a contract in Vegas to do a residency.
Yes.
Right? So everyone can come to him. How old is he now?
Yeah, I think he's 81.
He's 81 years old. I do not believe the residency has started.
Yeah.
Even though it was supposed to start last week because, and I quote the story, he was partying too hard.
He's having too much fun in Vegas, baby.
At 81.
81, the guy could still do it. That's impressive.
How? But
that you could ride that hard for so long. Because this means he's been doing it his whole life.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Right? And you're still, that's impressive.
Yeah, but he looks, you can see every drink
Fine.
on his face.
Give me 81 hard drinking. That's who cares?
Do we like Rod Stewart? Because I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, I like Rod Stewart.
No, I'm saying like at men in general. If I were to say I like Rod Stewart, would I be judged for that?
Certain guys maybe.
Okay.
I always liked Rod Stewart. I mean, he had great hits.
Yeah, but you dress like Rod Stewart.
Well, thank you.
No, that was not a compliment.
I also like to drink till I'm 81 and wear every drink.
You're not wearing make it 81. 252 WCMF. Let's talk to Jay before we move on. Hey, Jay, how are you, buddy?
Good, you guys. How about the Gilbert O'Sullivan's Claire from 1974 and the controversy of an uncle and a 3-year-old?
Okay, that shouldn't have taken this call. Jay, thank you for the call, buddy. Have a good rest of the day.
There's some history I didn't need this morning.
Yep. Thank God only 3 people listening know who Gilbert O'Sullivan is. But he's alone again.
Wait, are those 2 dudes or 1 dude?
Gilbert O'Sullivan's the guy who
I
sang.
thought it was Gilbert and Sullivan.
Gilbert O'Sullivan.
Oh, I would thought those were 2 dudes.
Are there a Gilbert and Sullivan that also
That's
wrote?
what I thought.
No, Gilbert O'Sullivan wrote that. Oh, okay.
He's Irish?
We come back. We wrap it up. We never take a phone call ever again. Next here in the break room on CMF. It's going to be Rabbaroo.
Audio Monday Rabbaroo.
For Monday Break Room CMF. All right, voting is now open. WCMF.com for our 2025. I was at 2005. I'm done. I'm going home. 2025 WCMF Sexiest Dad Competition. You can go. We have well over 60 dads at WCMF.com. Vote for which one is your favorite. We have broken a record for shirtless dads this year.
Damn.
Some appropriately shirtless, some not. But again, that is up to you.
Yeah.
Whatever you're into, go check out shirtless. Also, a couple tuxedos.
Really?
We know those are rented.
Okay.
Like nobody has bought that tuxedo. So go check that out, WCMF.com. You have the week to go ahead and vote. And keep in mind, the winner takes home a watch from our good friends at Heritage Jewelers valued at $500.
Wow.
All right. We got to get out of the way. Tomorrow's a Tuesday. You know what that means?
It's what's Kimmy doing in the hood?
Kimmy's got her post on the neighborhood app. She's going to read it out loud. We are going to figure out, because we're going to listen.
I have to listen now.
Where they whine at just after 9 o'clock here in the break room on CMF. For Kimmy, who did a great rendition of a song she has never forgotten from elementary school.
Funga lafia, ashe, ashe. Funga lafia, ashe, ashe. It was easier when you were a kid.
I think you
to
nailed
hit those high notes.
No, I think you hit it. For Tommy Muley, who was devastated to learn that the horn was not a happy horn, but a heroin horn in some of his favorite jazz songs. My name is Pat W. We'll see you tomorrow in the break room, 6 a.m. on 96.5 WCMF.